Mark Vital. Offensive rebound. Out to Butler. Welcome to Baylor basketball.
Welcome to SicEm365 Radio.
Tapped around. Thamba got it to Vital. Back outside. For a three by Butler.
SicEm365 Radio is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
In the postseason, the best thing is that the fact that the games are back-to-back, and you got to win. And the fact that we won and we're still playing tomorrow is a really good thing, so we're happy about that.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
And how about the hustle at first, boasting on Gondrazic, but not giving up D.D. Richards.
Are you a SicEm365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at SicEm365.com.
ACOT. Again, the shot clock winding down. Weaving. Off glass. He does it again.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go on this Friday afternoon. Many things to get to today. There's breaking news in college basketball, of course, with what's happened now. That brings back eerily some thoughts about a year ago on March the 12th when the Big 12 tournament was shut down. That's not happening. The ACC tournament has had their blips. They're not shutting it down. Yesterday, Duke. Today, Virginia. This morning, Virginia. Also, the Kansas Jayhawks are out. So Texas tonight, that other semifinal game. UT moves into a championship game tomorrow at 5 o'clock against the winner of Baylor and Oklahoma State. They'll play, of course, later on this afternoon. And I have a great conversation with John Jacobs, their assistant coach, about many things of what they dealt with Kansas State and also this team as well. He gave me a quick stat. Lady Bears, by the way, leading TCU by 17 in their quarterfinal round game up in Kansas City as well. Here's something to think about is that, and we said this, I believe, yesterday, but Coach Jake is telling me, Craig Smoak on Skype, Paul Catalina in studio with me, David Smoak and Armstrong Sims runs the mothership, that Davion Mitchell and Maceo Teague, now think about this, have been at Baylor for 3 years. And yesterday was their first actual Big 12 tournament game.
Yeah.
Because the tournament got blown out last year, and they had to sit out the year before.
Yep.
And so that was part of kind of what Scott Drew mentioned, even though we don't want to hear that, because they didn't play well. So that was rather interesting as well. Craig, go ahead.
Those two played well.
Yeah, well, yeah. No, you're right.
I mean,
they were two of the four.
Yeah.
Or so who played pretty well. Got a lot of different things. My favorite college football team is gutless. If anything reported about them trying to dodge Oklahoma later in the year is true, we'll get into that. I will not dodge it. You will hear from me on that, and I know that's just part of what's going on today. Baseball, softball, Baylor both playing. Also, we'll have news on men's basketball. We'll hear from Davion Mitchell a little bit later on here in this segment. Some notes about Cam Newton and Tom Brady also as well today, and there's a couple of pretty good things to get to as well. In fact, there's a really interesting story I want to talk at some point about with Major League Baseball experimenting even more so in the minor league system coming up this spring and summer. Craig Smoak, when you heard the story that the day after Duke and then it's Virginia and now it's Kansas, did you kind of have a little bit of almost like deja vu?
No, I didn't have deja vu. I just think it's part of, the environment that we're in right now. I think it would have been foolish to think that there would be no cancellations whatsoever during these conference tournaments. So it's not surprising. It's unfortunate, but I'm not completely caught off guard by it. So, I'm just glad it's not Baylor. We went through this with them, and it would have been really sad to get to this stage and then have them be the ones that needed to pull out given what's happened this year. So I'm thankful that it's not them. I'm thankful that they get to keep moving forward, and we'll now get to play Oklahoma State and hopefully, then go beat Texas and win a Big 12 tournament championship. That's the goal. The goal remains unchanged. But, just unfortunate that some of this is happening, but I can't say that I'm surprised.
Yeah, it is. This is what we're going to have to deal with, and this is not going to be the last teams this is going to happen to, and it's not the last team it's going to happen to this week, and it's probably going to happen as we get into the actual tournament. And
all right, you're right. My question is, if you're KU, Virginia, and Duke's gone, they're done anyway. They were not going to make it to the tournament unless they ran the table. That's the only way they were going to get in. How do they get to next week when the tournament starts in a week?
I don't know. I mean, you got to hope that it is an isolated incident. And
does that affect Selection Sunday?
I don't see how it doesn't.
Because if you, let's say, and I don't know any of those answers, but they had McCormick and the other guy, and I hate to say that because like player to be named later, and now they obviously had one more, and that could then lead to 7, like Baylor had 7 or 8, and I don't want that to happen, but is there a chance that Selection Sunday, if they were a 4 seed, maybe they're an 8 seed or a 7 seed, or do they go by what they've done up to this point, or do they say this Kansas? Go ahead.
Do they? I mean, I would think that they've got to know who the players are. Like, I mean, I get where you're coming from, but I don't think the committee has all the information available to sit there and go on Saturday or whenever they're discussing this. Go, well, Kansas should be this, but word is they've got this guy and this guy and it. Like, I don't know. I think they'd be getting really down into the weeds, and I don't know that they're going to be able to configure everything so detailed. So I think they're just going to have to say, like, hey, are you available to play? Yes. Okay, cool. And put them in there. Cause from what you're saying, like, there would just have to be so many little boxes checked to get that perfect. So I think they're just going to have to go with what it is. And then if teams get a number 3 seed, but half their roster's missing and yet they can still play, well, yeah, they're maybe not built like a number 3 seed anymore, but that's just what they are. They're going to have to go into the tournament that way. I mean, that's my opinion. I just don't see how you could account for all of the moving parts that there might be with some of these teams.
Yeah, I'm curious as to if they're going to, because they have to go right to Indianapolis and quarantine for a few days and get tested and everything that they have to do. So, I mean, if you've already got a positive test, I mean, I am sure that Virginia and Kansas right now are all apart, separated, quarantining by themselves in their individual homes to hopefully, pass enough tests to get to Indianapolis. But I would have, you'd rather it happen when it happened to Baylor, so that, at least most of your, and the weird part of saying this is the good news about people getting a disease is that they got it, a couple of months ago, and that they're in the window, and that so many of them got it. You wouldn't
Remember when I was asking Mac Rhodes this and even Dave Aranda this, and I know that I had a couple of guys nationally actually text me and go, man, you got to kind of get off of that comment. No, I think it would have been better because in the end, most everyone's going to get this, and I don't want to turn this into COVID 101.
Well, no, it's a fair philosophical question to ask.
Yes.
It's on a macro level.
Would it have been better to just go ahead and have it rampant in the summer than deal with it when you don't know when it was going to happen during football season? I had a couple of national columnists, and we had good conversations. They were like, man, it's a bad look. I go, no, it's not. It's a damn legitimate question. Baylor having what they had doesn't mean they won't have it flare up again. But they had a chunk of players, which means the odds are a lot different than they would have been had they been cruising along. Kim Mulkey's petrified of this because they've had a small flare-up. She was a part of it, maybe 1 or 2 other players, and that's it. And she said that on the press conferences before.
And the question isn't, do you want everybody to get it? It's if you have the choice or not. If you're not, if you don't have a choice and you're going to get it anyway, do you want to get it in a slow drip or a water wall?
If I knew that that between now and November I was going to get COVID, give it to me now. I know that sounds weird, but if everybody was going to get it, give it to me now so I can go ahead and be better later. Now, Craig would disagree with that because he's already dealt with that, or Armstrong and others that might have had it. But I'm just saying it's not flippant and it's not irresponsible. It's legitimate. Now, 254-339-1122. The text line is open. We're going to hear from Davion Mitchell on Oklahoma State here in just a second. John Jacobs, Grayson Grudhafer today is going to be at 5 o'clock. There's a huge camp coming up this weekend. He and Brian Etheridge are going to cover that for SicEm365.com. We'll also have a live Lady Bear player at around 3:45 once they're done, up 18 with 8:40 to go in the fourth quarter against TCU. And we're going to hear from one of the great broadcasters, Kevin Harlan from Westwood One. He'll join us today at 3:30. Ought to be a lot of fun. Here we go.
All right, Steven from Virginia, you are on the Impact Health Labs caller line on SicEm365 Radio.
Hey, guys. I really appreciate this discussion we're having about COVID and the NCAA tournament because, and Smoak, I think that anyone who came at you for that comment, part of being responsible journalists and being responsible adults is looking at things in context and at every shade, not just black and white, because much of our world is gray. So, first of all, I know that a lot of people, me included, thought that Duke copped out and just kind of said, we're not going to go to the tournament when they weren't going to get selected anyway. And now that we've had a few days, and I think in 2020 we've all seen how quickly things change, I feel that Kansas and Virginia have a responsibility before Selection Sunday that if they're not going to be able to play, it's their responsibility as institutions to notify the NCAA. The same way Duke did. That's your problem. Don't bring your COVID to our bubble. And then this is something I want to ask y'all. And I feel like this is a both sides kind of thing, so it's not just going to be me saying something political. When the vaccine rollout has been mismanaged by both administrations. And the president came on TV last night and said that in about 8 weeks, everyone's going to be eligible for it. So if we have so many doses that we haven't been able to give people, why can't we give it to these athletes who are going to this college basketball when this is a big moneymaker for America? I mean, it would be nice to look at it like rationally. I mean, I don't really, and the last thing I want to say about that is what don't universities have a responsibility to get their kids vaccinated? And is it unfair if some universities have access to the vaccine and some don't? Like a wealthy donor from the University of wherever goes and gets all 15, vaccinations of Moderna, but, he's the only team that has it. I mean, it's a real question, and I'd like to hear from y'all. So thanks for taking my call, guys. I'll catch you later.
Steven, great to hear from you. Have a great weekend. Paul?
I think on a philosophical level about a vaccine rollout, like I get why they're doing it. And look, I went and got mine first shot the other day. I'll just say I got it. But it's very confusing as to what and all that. And I would think that here in a couple weeks, they need to just, again, open the floodgates because it would just make it a lot simpler. And then you're just on a list. You're just waiting for your time in line as opposed to trying to figure out
there's 300 million people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. But I mean, just do it. I mean, because again,
right.
Look, somebody's going to be the 300 millionth. I mean,
It's kind of like the guy who gets drafted last in the NFL. He gets that award.
I know this is probably a gross oversimplification, and I get that there are people you have to get vaccinated first. Before athletes, I would like to see us get our teachers vaccinated, considering we've made them go back to work.
Not everybody has. Not every teacher. There's some unions that have fought that, right?
But most unions want them to get the vaccine because if they have to go, some unions have fought going back to work. But
so you're putting teachers. You're not. I'm not. I know you're not. You're putting teachers ahead of
basketball players.
Oh, okay.
I mean, yeah. I like that's the one group I would like to see us loop in before we just open the floodgates.
Well, Baylor's playing tonight, no matter what. They're playing tonight. They're playing Oklahoma State. This could be another knockdown drag-out. That Texas and Texas Tech game was amazing last night. I thought about this when I woke up this morning, and I knew the final. I knew what Texas did down the stretch. Do you realize that Texas Tech gave up a 10-0 run to UT to close out the first half, and then a 5-0 run to close out the game? That's 15-point swing in the last couple of minutes of each half. It's just, and it's amazing how they flipped the switch, and that's a nice win for Shaka and the Horns, and they're a contender here. Now, they get to wait to watch Baylor. They want Baylor, Oklahoma State to go 3 overtimes. So here is Baylor's All-American guard. We all know all the things that Davion Mitchell does. This is Jason King asking him a question about Oklahoma State. Jason, this is Davion Mitchell, OK State.
They're really well coached. Mike Boynton is a really good coach. He let his players play. He let his players play with freedom. It's a lot of space on the floor. I mean, they got really good sets. They're really talented, and they really play hard. I mean, not just they talented. Every time they play us, I feel like they play like the hardest they ever play. I mean, but it's going to be a fun one.
Also, you guys, obviously everyone missed the tournament last year, and after you had that great season, and now finally after this great season, it's all starting for you, the postseason. How would you describe just kind of the mood in the locker room, especially since you guys have this great record and everything? Any pressure, any nerves? What's it like in there?
I just think it's definitely different moods for everyone. I mean, especially guys that never been to the tournament. Like I remember me and Maceo talked about, he's never played in the NCAA tournament, so I know he's really excited for those bright lights. I mean, I played in the NCAA tournament before, and I know it's a really fun atmosphere. I mean, everyone in the world is watching, and you literally you win or lose. I mean, you either win or go home. So that's the fun part about it.
So that's Davion Mitchell. What a year he's had, and his offensive improvement. We've documented that. His defensive play is fantastic. Now, we'll hear from him again a little bit later on, because one of the guys from Oklahoma State that's really playing well is Avery Anderson. In fact, John Jacobs discusses that in our interview with him at about 4. Lady Bears up by 28, 73-45 with 6 minutes or so left in that game up in Kansas City. Baylor plays Oklahoma State. Was it 5:30 tip? And that game will tip up in Kansas City almost about the time we're ready to close out the show, like yesterday. Now, yesterday they played a little bit earlier than that. Am I right? Yeah, Kansas State was a game that was played at 1:30. So here's John Rothstein. We just brought this up. Teams have until Saturday at 11 o'clock local time to notify the selection committee if they're unable to meet the medical protocols to play in the NCAA per the NCAA. So we were asking about Kansas, or Duke's out of the picture altogether, or Virginia, or anyone else between now and Sunday. So if, in fact, there's an issue, at least you're going to have to tell them, whether, again, you tell them, as Craig mentioned, 1 player or 5. But you're going to have to tell them if there's an issue that could knock you out before you ever play in the NCAA tournament. How many teams? That's kind of, I think you have to do that.
You do, but you're also running the risk of some people being duplicitous.
How do you know then if somebody next Thursday says we're out? You can't oh, man, you knew this last week. No, maybe you didn't. You don't know with this stuff, right? So, Craig, there's an answer to one of our questions, at least, about the timeline, and they will have some information, but you're right. We just don't know if Kansas is going to say, yeah, we have 9 guys, or if Villanova is going to say we have 3, or whoever might say how many they have, but at least there's some sort of a time or a deadline where somebody's got to let somebody know.
Great. That's good. Whatever they got to do to get into the tournament. I'm not real worried about it. I have no control. None of us have any control, obviously, over these teams. So, hopefully they all have their ducks in a row and as many teams as possible can get into the tournament.
Now, one other note. That note, Craig, you brought it up earlier in the week. If Baylor does beat Oklahoma State, the stat that no team out of Texas has ever won the Big 12 tournament, that's over.
Yeah.
Because someone from either UT or Baylor will win the Big 12 men's basketball tournament. So that, if Baylor does win, will end that long drought there. So that's John Rothstein. Now, Baylor, I mentioned earlier, and I know we can get to the Nebraska thing, and I know, I'm a Huskers fan, and they just infuriate me because they are so bad. We're going to have Kevin Harlan here momentarily. Lady Bears, they're going to win by 30 or so, 77-49. Paul was a little bit worried about the point spread in that game. So Virginia coming out. Paul, Florida State's on one side. They play North Carolina.
Yep.
Georgia Tech then moves into the championship game, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right, so that's that. UMHB, the women, their semifinal game against UT Dallas was canceled because of COVID. They advanced into Monday's American Southwest Conference Championship game. Good luck to them. Baylor baseball starts tonight, a 3-game series against, Xavier over the weekend. First pitch is at 6:30. Now let's get to Nebraska. Brett McMurphy had this earlier today, trying to get out of a game September the 18th against Oklahoma, trying to find another home game. This is the 50th and will be the 50th anniversary of perhaps the greatest college football game ever, a collision course between 1 and 2 dominant teams. I know we've seen that before with others, but I mean, they were both great. At the end of the 71 season, you had number 1 Nebraska, number 2 Oklahoma, number 3 Colorado in the same conference. Yeah. Here's Baylor. So Joe Castiglione comes out, hey, we expect to play. This has destroyed Nebraska's image, in my opinion. It doesn't mean they can't play. Here is their AD, Bill Moose. I have not read this. Armstrong, you want to read it, or do you want to put it up there?
It's
very long.
It might be too small.
Nebraska is looking forward to playing Oklahoma in Norman. Due to the economic devastation caused by COVID-19 pandemic to Husker athletics and the local community, our aid administration did explore the possibility of adding an 8th home game this fall. That option would have helped us mitigate cost-cutting measures, provide a much-needed boost to our local economy. Ultimately, the decision was made to move forward with our game against Oklahoma. I think it's September the 18th. We have the utmost respect for the University of Oklahoma, storied rivalry. So Nebraska they have egg on their face. He admitted.
Yeah.
He's trying to use, and listen, I love him. I absolutely love him. But he's trying to use the poor, pitiful me, we need economy help in why they were looking for another game. And not that that's not a legitimate, especially when you're talking about farmers.
Why would Joe Castiglione not be able to say the same exact thing in Norman, Oklahoma that you could in Lincoln, Nebraska?
I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you.
I guess the biggest difference would be, proximity to a major city, but even still, the fans in Lincoln and the fans in Norman are the same kind of Midwestern American people, so I don't know. Like that to me is like, okay, so Lincoln, Nebraska couldn't find their way out of this, and Warren Buffett lives there, but Norman, Oklahoma, economic geniuses there.
And their skyline. Here's an interesting note, and Craig, respond. I'm glad they're playing. They'll get beat badly, 60-14 or whatever. Excellent job getting out in front of this before the narrative grew its own lifespan. This is a bad look for what used to be, and now they lose their blue blood membership.
Yeah, I don't know when they might have let go of that blue blood membership, because I don't think it's just now. I think it's probably happened in the last few years. But I just can't believe how they keep shooting themselves in the foot and how they keep, making question. I don't know. Do they just find themselves in the spotlight and not in a good way most often? I don't know. It's weird. Just the decisions being made in Nebraska, and to let this get out there is just, a PR nightmare, because there's no walking it back. Everybody now knows the deal. You basically just confirmed that it was true. So everybody knows that you were trying to get out of this Oklahoma game. I think, in light of the anniversary, I think in light of the fact there's a return trip. So you're telling me that you were going to get out of that game, and you don't even mention that, Oklahoma's also supposed to come see you. Like, that's not going to bring money to the economy. Like, Oklahoma's not going to travel super well for Nebraska next year. Of course they are. They're going to pack that place. So I don't know what your plan was for next year. If you were going to get out of the game this year, then you were just going to cancel that one too. So, the money thing doesn't even pass the smell test. I can't imagine being in the head of an athletic department and being scared to play another team. I can't imagine ever getting to that point, especially when you have a brand name. I understand that maybe you scheduled Virginia Tech 10 years early, and then you get to that point and you're not very good and they're pretty good. Okay, you just play that game, and it's like when Oklahoma played a Florida State years ago. They played them, they beat them down. Florida State wasn't what they typically are, but it didn't matter. It's still Florida State. It's still a win. Florida State's still in there. Hey, you lost to Oklahoma, so what? On to the next one. I just don't know how a loss to me, this is worse than them getting beat down in a loss. This is a far worse look than if they just played this game and just got beat by 4 touchdowns, because people expect them to get beat by 4 touchdowns when they play Oklahoma. So
I know.
It's just a terrible look.
They're going to get beat by more than 4 touchdowns.
Look, sometimes an ass kicking is on the horizon. It's a metaphor for life.
You spent 40 years doing it, and you know what? You have to take a few. I'd rather lose to Oklahoma and Norman by 50 than lose at home to Northern Illinois, Troy, or Old Dominion. Yeah. Or maybe Buffalo.
Yeah,
and they might. That's where they are now.
But, okay, they could schedule Buffalo.
No, they're on the schedule. That's the thing, though.
But so they could schedule someone like that, and then instead of playing Oklahoma and losing,
that's not a gimme.
Losing. Exactly. So look better getting your ass kicked by a team you're supposed to get your ass kicked by.
They will be. And now, if you're Oklahoma and you have a chance, go ahead, Craig. We got Kevin Harlan coming up in the next segment.
There was no downside to this game for them, and now they've created a bunch of downside.
Yep. And
Yep. They could have just gone out, played, you lose, on to the next one. No one would be surprised by it, no matter what score you want to tell me it would have been, by 1, by 100. Nobody would be surprised. But now you're the team that's trying to get out of games the year of. Now you're scrambling, trying to find lesser opponents that, like you said, you may not even be guaranteed to beat. Like, all this for nothing. All this for no reason.
Yep.
You've just done this to yourself.
All right. Remember, Nebraska got hammered by a lot of Big Ten schools, and I defended them not because of Nebraska, because they wanted to play. Remember when Scott Frost said, we just want to let our kids play, and the kids just want to play. We'll play anyone, anywhere, anytime. We'll play like in Bolshkovo.
Except Oklahoma.
But
Oklahoma 1 year from now.
All right, when we come back, he's one of the great broadcasters, Kevin Harlan. He had one of the greatest moments ever on the radio in Super Bowl history this past year in that Buccaneers win against Kansas City. Kevin Harlan. Then we're going to hear from a Lady Bears women's player. They're up by 30 with 4 minutes to go. The timing will be perfect. We have John Jacobs at 4, Jason King today. Much to get to today. And also Eric Villasenor. He's the head coach at Wynn High School in Eagle Pass on Dave Aranda's virtual coaching clinic recently this week for the Texas Hispanic Coaches Association. His thoughts about Dave Aranda and that clinic. This is oh my God, SicEm365 Radio.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine. They've never called themselves the wrong name. They're always Riverbend Liquor and Wine. They're always on Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street here in Waco, and you're always going to get great service when you go there. Sometimes places have a drive-through. We talked about this yesterday and how places constructed a drive-through that didn't have them before COVID. Well, they've always had their drive-through, and it's always been lightning fast. Sometimes you go to a place that says, we've got a drive-through, but they're not really a drive-through place, and it takes forever. You walk up and you say, I'd like some balcones, I'd like some Moscato, and maybe a 6-pack of Lone Star. And boom, 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 boom. They've got it for you like that. And look, if you want to go in and walk into the great craft beer, unbelievable. The selection they have rotated like crazy for the seasons. You can't even keep track of how many beers they have to keep track of. They're wizards when it comes to that. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street. Find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
Qualified buyer, see dealer for details. The anniversary sales event is happening now at Richard Car. 22 years in Central Texas is worth celebrating with big savings on all cars and trucks. Savings like $3,500 off a 2021 Buick Envision or Buick Encore GX. Save $6,000 off a 2021 Buick Enclave. Save $6,500 off a 2021 GMC Terrain or GMC Acadia. Come by for prize giveaways and deep anniversary discounts on every car or truck on the lot. It's the anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Car.
At Richard Car, we give you more. At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs, even offering financing if that's needed. Everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and 2-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High performance men, remember, it's not just a Petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
He's pulling down his pants. Put up your pants, my man. Pull up those pants. He's being chased to the 30. He breaks a tackle from a security guard. The 20, down the middle, the 10, the 5. He slides at the 1, and they converge on him at the goal line. Pull up your pants. Take off the bra and be a man.
Oh, it was absolute greatness. I'll never forget a tweet from Olivia Decker. It's Kevin's daughter, when she said, "This is why he's the greatest of all time." Kevin Harlan, who will be a part of the voice of CBS Sports and Television in the NCAA tournament. Great to have Kevin on the show. Kevin, thank you for joining SicEm365 Radio. Did you ever in your life ever think that something like that would take off the way it has?
Well, no, thanks for having me. Great to be on and join you this afternoon. When you're doing radio play-by-play, you're so into the rhythm of the game and the setup of the play and who's in, who's out. And a lot of times when stuff like that happens, it just kind of falls under the category of just call what you see. And for right or wrong, smartly or dumbly, I called it. And, and you don't expect to see that kind of thing happen at a Super Bowl, because the security is literally 3 deep around the rim of the field, and it was shocking that the guy was able to get out there. And then even more shocking is that he had as much time in the field before anybody got a hold of him. He ran 100 yards. And anyway, so it was part of the night. It was not a very exciting game. Big day for Tom Brady, certainly, as he continues to climb the historical marks in his Hall of Fame career. The Chiefs were not the Chiefs we'd been used to seeing, nor was their quarterback. But that moment gave us a little bit of levity, I guess. And that's only the second time I've heard it. Anyway, it's good to join you guys tonight down where you are. Hopefully, it's a little warmer. I'm in Las Vegas right now, and it's about 49 degrees and rainy. Well, it's not very nice.
Yeah, we had a horrible icy storm, as a lot of people did.
Yes, you did.
A few weeks back. It was unheard of, but now it's starting to give us that spring feeling. So it's good that you're doing well.
Good
Kevin Harlan, CBS Sports, with us on SicEm365 Radio.
Kevin, is it going to make it? I'm sure it will, but it just is preparations for doing tournament games this year. We've already seen Virginia and Kansas have to bow to their conference tournaments, and who knows what that means. But having to be ready for kind of anything as the tournament rolls along here in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit different. I mean, we're not going to be scattered around the country, and you really get the feel of north, south, east, and west teams where they're planted and where the committee is going to put them, and there's a reason why the committee would put a team in a certain region. The regions will be called the same, but they'll just be in name only and not in any kind of geography. We're going to have 6 different locations. We're going to be doing a max of 3 games in one day. Usually we do 4, but now it'll be 3 on that first day. That'll be a little different. And we may travel from one venue to the next, from morning to night. So it'll have a different logistical feel. I think it's going to have a different kind of feel, too, just in the optics. There's no Duke. There'll be no Kentucky. I mean, we're talking about the biggest names in college basketball that always bring good ratings to the people that televise those games, and they're going to be gone. And I think that even though we've got Baylor and Gonzaga that have had these incredible years and are 1 and 2 in the polls, this is going to be one of those very strange tournaments where literally you'd almost want to take the field than the 2 best teams that we've seen the entire college season because of what might be a COVID detection or something. I mean, I just don't think I don't think anybody really knows what to expect. And so the coaches that bring as much normalcy to their teams when they get to Indy and the long stay that some of them could have there, that's going to be incumbent on what kind of atmosphere, I think, environment that these coaches and schools create for their program once they've got feet on the ground in Indianapolis.
Kevin, you mentioned Baylor, number 2 team in the country, just won their first Big 12 championship, first conference title since the 40s. What have you made of the job Scott Drew has done, not only this year, getting to new heights, but obviously a lot of people made mention of just what he walked into years and years ago. What are your thoughts on the Bears at this stage?
One of the most remarkable recent stories in college basketball. To walk into, inherit what he did, and to turn it around and change the culture, and to get that thing with the compass pointed in the right direction was nothing short of miraculous. Now, there was great patience. There had to be a lot of foresight. It's never one guy. It's always a team. And clearly that athletic department, joined him in sculpting what they've got now. And I admire the heck out of him. I got to be honest. I think there are a lot of people that thought that program was dead and they were not going to be able to shake this. But in a shockingly short amount of time, when you think of the landscape of what they've had to do, they've done it. And that takes a lot of faith, a lot of courage, taking some chances. And you can't get any place in this world without risk. And they took the good kind of risk. And players took risk, I think, in joining that program, thinking, all right, I'm gonna hitch up here to what this coaching staff offers, what this school represents as a body, and they represent a lot. There's no doubt. They've got very significant things that they abide by, and that probably helped them as much as anything get out of what was a very sticky situation. So I admire the heck out of him, and I congratulate him. And I'm a Jayhawk. I graduated from Kansas, and it was great when they had that string of wins, but the conference is better when other teams capture a title, and no better team to do that than Baylor, and I applaud them for what they've done.
Kevin, how often have you had a chance, and I know you're always doing games or you're always busy, but have you had a chance to watch Baylor play much this year?
I watched them against Kansas.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
that was their bad night too. Yeah.
I'm sorry to say that because that does not represent. Listen, Allen Fieldhouse is a very difficult place to win. So you could have any kind of team go in there and struggle, and that was just not Baylor's night. The Bears have had a body of work which has rightly been evaluated by the people that matter, that make these polls, coaches and the media that follow the game, and they put them in the right place. There's no doubt in my mind they are where they should be. I think they're going to have a terrific tournament. I just think we've got so much unknown going in, and I don't know that you could really bet on anybody. Even if Kansas and Duke and Kentucky and even North Carolina, which is trying to trying to get their way in here. Even if they were the normal powers they were, I would take the field. I really would. So nothing against their program in Waco. They've proven a lot in a weird year, and I would dare say this, that by ending the regular season, and they're still involved in the tournament in Kansas City, but what they've done for teams like Baylor and Gonzaga and Michigan, I'm going to put Michigan in there too, for those university programs to be where they have been all season for the most part is just miraculous. They've abided by the rules. They've absorbed the protocol. They've gone through what all these other schools have gone through, yet they have survived and they have thrived. I don't know if there's a greater indication of character and depth and where the program is than to have that kind of a season in this kind of environment. It's amazing.
Kevin, what would it have been like for you to roll off this NFL season that was so tumultuous? I mean, and they got in every game, and it worked out for them in spite of some things that were little freakouts. And then into a college basketball season that's kind of the same, rolling with the punches.
Well, the NFL, we did every game on site. So I did Sunday for CBS TV, and then would fly and do my Monday game for Westwood One CBS Radio, and we had, for the most part, empty stadiums. We were not in our normal broadcast booths, but really, it was only the pregame, halftime, and postgame where it felt weird. When you were doing the game, because you kind of lose yourself in your broadcast and doing the best you can and keeping your focus and everything else, you really didn't notice anything different. But in those moments of quiet pre-post-game, you really noticed it. And to be quite honest, it lost a lot of its feeling. I guess I never really put that much on having a loud crowd and what they meant to the atmosphere and how they may have ignited passion in the players and framed the game. But I did this year and have got a great new appreciation for what they bring. And I'm glad people are so excited and can't wait to get back in these arenas and stadiums. I'm doing the NBA right now from my basement and home in Kansas City, and that's a little bit weird because I'm really by myself. I literally put on the headset, the lights are on, the camera's on. I do the game. I'm not surrounded by anybody, which is strange. At least in our football booth for CBS, we had people in the booth and around us and doing the Monday night radio broadcast, but I'm by myself in this stadium, in this basement. And like last night, my wife said, "I'm going to bed." I did a late game, and the nice thing is I'm not getting on a plane. The weird thing is I take off the headset, I hit a button, everything turns off, and then I've got to kind of decompress after being so wound up doing a game. I did the Mavs a couple weeks ago when they played in Philadelphia. The game was not exciting, but it was the first time I had seen the Mavericks in doing one of their games this year. So I was excited to see Doncic and how they're playing and the nice job that Rick is doing with that team. So it has been odd. I mean, they'll do studies of this as they will in society and business and the economy and politics and the years ahead of us. Someone will do a study on what this has been like in terms of doing games remotely and trying to, generate noise and ambiance in these stadiums with artificial crowd noise. It's been a real production. The real heroes, to be quite honest, have been the technicians that have put this stuff together, figured it out, and been able to air these broadcasts so that the fan watching at home, like all of us, has a kind of a sense of normalcy in terms of what they listen to and what their eyes are showing them.
Kevin, you kind of have a loose idea of who you're going to be covering, obviously, and then as the tournament goes on, it's a little bit more up in the air. But what's your preparation like for these games? There's so many teams, so many coaches, so many names, so many stories. Like, how do you kind of wrap your head around before every broadcast of the preparation side of things?
So last night I did the NBA TNT game. We did the second game, and that was the LA Clippers and Golden State. And going into the fourth quarter, it was a 39-point lead for the Clippers. So during the fourth quarter, I kind of was doing two things at once, and I'm right now in Las Vegas. I had to fly here early this morning because I've got the Mountain West for CBS, the championship game tomorrow night. We had to come and test, and we got to pass the COVID test and be here, a couple days in advance so we can, get that kind of clearance. So I woke up, game ended Kansas City time about 11:30, 11:45. I didn't get to sleep. I didn't even sleep. I kind of turned off the light about 1:30 in the morning and rolled around and got out of bed at 4 and went to the airport and flew out here. And now I've been in this room after getting tested since being here, and began to prep a little bit last night in the fourth quarter, just in the 4 teams that remained, because I didn't see the quarterfinals last night. I'll watch the semifinals tonight. I'll fly back home after the game tomorrow, and like everybody else, watch Selection Sunday, and then we'll get our assignments either late Sunday night or early Monday, and then we're doing no more than 3 games in one day. So that means I'll have 6 teams to prepare for, and usually it's 8, but we'll have just 6. And I'll do kind of a skeleton spotting board for each team, and then bit by bit just keep adding to each team's resume, statistics and storylines and stuff like that. It really isn't that hard. It's just a lot of volume that you've got to kind of digest. But, you don't need a real high IQ to do this job to begin with. and I certainly fit the bill there. So our first game will be Friday. So I'm going to have, a nice portion of the week to get ready for these 6 teams that I'll see. The difference is going to be the next games we do, which will be Sunday. And then I'll see 6 more teams that I know nothing about, but I'll only have a day and a half to prepare.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a little bit dicey.
Yeah, in football, even if you did a couple of games in a weekend, you have most of the week to prepare. And basketball is even more difficult, even with less people, because the game's at such a faster pace. It's just, you got to pick up the numbers pretty quickly. You don't mind me saying this, and I'm not comparing myself to you, Kevin, because what you do, but I'll even put down like a guy has a mustache or sideburns or white socks on, high socks or whatever. Have you ever done that back in the day when you were starting to broadcast, when you just find things to attach to a name of a player?
Well, with football, because we're up so high, I will notice if we got a couple guys with similar numbers, and I really do this with running backs because they're so situational now, the way they bring in a first down back, then a second and third down back, and then maybe they change and they put a tight end or a fullback back there. A lot of these running backs will wear 26 and 28. Oh. And the only difference I can see, because their size is the same, is that maybe one guy has got long sleeve and one guy has got short. Or one guy has got dark shoes and the other guy has white. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess when I get that close, and I spend my pregame going over it, because players change their uniform style and how they're taped up and shoes and cleats they wear game to game. So even if you watch a lot of tape, you still don't know. So I'll use things like that. But sure, no. Listen, when I'm doing games, sometimes I'm seeing a team for the first time, and there's all these different guys being shuffled in and out defensively. If I see a guy who's got, let's say, the number 44, and his first name is Adrian or his last name is Amos, I'll use that 4 and pretend it's an A. And that will at least get me in the, early in the week when I start watching tape, to think of this guy and, okay, that's it's Adrian Amos, 44, right. AA. And, just little things like that I'll do. Other guys are so smart, they'll look at it and they'll get it down. I'm not that kind of guy. Repetition helps me. So the more I watch, the better I get and more comfortable I feel come Sunday and Monday. Yeah,
and you'll maybe be able to get a team a second or third time in the tournament eventually, and obviously that leads to even more recognition. We've taken a lot of your time. Kevin, we always have liked you. We've had you on at Radio Row at the Super Bowls before. Of course, this year it was.
I remember, yes, of course,
yeah.
Of course.
We have the candles. We're the
Good.
ones
I love them.
Yep.
My wife loves them.
Yeah,
my wife loves them.
My best friend, Eric Horton, a friend of Craig and Paul, of course, he has the candles. I'll send him a clip of this segment. So, and we'll
Good, please do.
The Tyler Candle Company sponsors Kevin Harlan. Yeah, hey,
I love it.
Kevin, thank you, man. Love your work. Appreciate your time and the sense of humor you bring up along with it when you need to, but also that just crisp edge that you have as well. Thanks for your time. Good luck with the tournament, and have a safe weekend.
Well, thank you for your kind words. Always fun to join you guys, and I really hope that the next time I see you will be in person on Radio Row at Super Bowl 56 next year in L.A. We'll keep up our tradition.
We will absolutely look for you. Thanks, Kevin. Enjoy it. That's Kevin Harlan, CBS Sports, Westwood One on Football, among others as well, and appreciate him for joining us. He's always been just a class guy, and Craig, Paul, you're the one that, hey, don't forget, man, he likes those candles at Eric Horton.
He did, yeah.
And who doesn't?
One time he was booked up pretty tight, and he said, no, I got to get my candles.
Yeah, I got to get my candles.
Yeah, so.
It's a lure. It's like a little, like a hook. All right, Lady Bears win 92-55. Nalissa Smith, 26. Dejanay Carrington, 17. Jordan Oliver had 11. And Queen Egbo had 8 points and 12 rebounds. We will have one of the players here momentarily as they finish up their media responsibilities and then come on with us. Also in the 4 o'clock hour, we'll hear from John Jacobs. We'll hear from also Jason King. We have a lot of coverage from Kansas City, but also from right here to you. And thank you for watching, listening. We're not done. We have a long way to go. And this is SicEm365 Radio. Waco Custom Marketplace. In fact, earlier today at 2 o'clock, a lot of people started showing up at their store, their grocery store, which is at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, to pick up 30-pound sacks of live crawfish. If you order live crawfish, 30-pound sacks, $4.25 a pound, by Wednesday at 6, you then can go by and pick up how many sacks you bought, how many sacks you ordered, 30-pound sacks at Waco Custom Marketplace, and take it home for the crawfish boil or whatever you're going to have. It's just delicious crawfish. I mean, you know that they have the elite in everything, whether it's beef, pork, poultry, seafood, and live crawfish. $4.25 a pound, 30-pound sacks from Waco Custom Marketplace. Order by Wednesday at 6. Pick up your packs of or sacks of crawfish, live crawfish, anytime after 2 o'clock on Friday, or when they're open throughout most of the morning, early afternoon on Saturday. It's that time of the year to enjoy delicious live crawfish for your crawfish boil. And they have the seasoning, the Louisiana seasoning, red beef potatoes, sausage, what you want to put in it, corn, cobettes. Yep. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. In a long-distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
At Baylor University, students find their place to shine. They're faithful friends and inspirational leaders. They're championship teammates and independent thinkers. They're on the cutting edge of high tech and in the halls of history. If you want to make the world a brighter place, you can. And if you want to shine in your own way, you can. The spark you need is already inside you. Bring it to Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Get the vehicle you've been dreaming about at the President's Day event at Allen Samuels. The 2020 Dodge Charger SXT, ranked #1 in initial quality and driver appeal, has special values of $6,170 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. The 2020 Dodge Charger is at the forefront of muscle car design. From the body to the wheels, it continues to impress. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, to see the 2020 Dodge Charger SXT. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trusted doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
This is SicEm365 Radio. Text us at 254-339-1122. The SicEm365 Radio text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
All right, Lady Bears do take care of business. We'll hear from Nalissa Smith, who's the Big 12 Player of the Year. She'll join us here momentarily when they wrap up their media responsibilities at the on Zoom. Couple of notes. The Dak Prescott's agent. It's Paul. Is it Todd France? Right.
Todd France.
He was on with Mad Dog Radio, Adam Shine, and he kind of was a little bit pissed off at Russell Wilson's agent. He said, "I guess Dallas is now crossed off that list." He told Adam Shine. Agent Mark Rogers told ESPN back on February 25th. One, Wilson did not ask to be traded. Wilson wants to stay with the Seahawks, and then but in case Cowboys, Bears, Saints, and Raiders. That is such like opposite reverse tampering.
Well, that's a great way to put it.
And he has only one, but here's Mark Rogers. He has one player. It's Russell Wilson. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't have any backlash from teams or other players because that's all, and that's not a bad one to have to make a little money off of, but that's it. And Todd France was not happy about it.
Oh, I wouldn't be happy if I were Todd France either, if I'm trying to negotiate a deal and then the big wrench gets thrown in the machine. Now, Todd France knows that, like, Stephen Jones and, I mean, Jerry can sometimes be a dog chasing cars. I mean, we know that. I mean, Johnny Manziel in the draft is kind of the highlight of that thing. But I will say this, that as bad as the Cowboys have been in advancing in the playoffs, you know, this player and that player wanting to come there the last few years, like, if that was the case, they would have Earl Thomas, Jamal Adams, name a player. Antonio Brown, they'd have them all. They would have them all because if they were like, oh, this guy wants to come here, let's go get him. They would have no draft picks for the next decade, and they'd have all these players. That's what they'd have. So they're often thrown in there because then all of a sudden it makes the other teams go, oh, well, we better do this.
Anytime you mention Cowboys, Craig, even if it's the media teasing a segment, it is immediately eyeballs, ears and eyes, right?
I mean, yeah, for a lot of people out there, I mean, I never got much into the Russell Wilson Cowboys or any of that stuff. I mean, just because it's out there doesn't mean there's anything to it. So, I've never really gotten real entrenched in Russell Wilson in Dallas but I have, obviously been open-minded to the fact that he could very well be on his way out of Seattle, and Chicago looks like it, could be the spot. That's the hot rumored spot now. But yeah, I mean, a lot of what you hear about the Cowboys, like 50% of it's just noise, and some people know that and then just ignorantly, pump it up and want to continue talking about it for whatever reason. I don't really know, but that was never. I mean, it was always Dak or bust to me.
Yeah. And, I think the only reason that Russell Wilson was kind of an interesting thought exercise was if the Cowboys have to let Dak go, the only thing that makes it better is if they do that. But then you start thinking about how do they have to get Russell Wilson, and then say, it's nigh impossible for them to do it. So why? Well, I mean, it's just out there because it's there. And it's almost impossible for any of the teams on the list to do it reasonably and get him. I mean, Seattle's not just going to be like, well, he's kind of mad. Let's take what we can get.
But that is we know that agents float out information to see if it sticks or who reacts to it, if a player wants to be traded or a player is disgruntled or whatever. But for him to go out, I don't think that's kosher at all. He's got a player under contract. He said, but boy, by the way, if he does get traded, these are 4 or 5 teams. When those teams have quarterbacks on their roster that are under contract, that's just, I never thought of it that way. But sometimes Todd France might, I'm not saying he has, but Todd France or whoever throw out, hey, just to a national writer, hey, by the way, he wouldn't mind playing in Pittsburgh.
But in that same interview, he talked about how with Dak's contract, he did not say a word to anybody for 2 years.
Yeah, and God bless him.
And he said that because he knew that wasn't going to help him. So for 2 years, he didn't say anything to anybody. And look, it worked out great. And so maybe there's a lesson in that too.
I agree. And maybe there is, but it was something that's not kosher. Let's break here. We'll come back with Big 12 Player of the Year, Nalissa Smith. Baylor women dominate TCU 92-55. We'll also have Grayson. We'll have John Jacobs. We'll also hear as well from Katie Stager-Smith on Baylor volleyball, among others. This is SicEm365 Radio.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac. Got the great summer saving or the fall savings event going on right now, and lots of deals on the lot with both new and used cars that you could have at your disposal right now. Of course, Richard Carr has been very good with their customer service throughout the entire pandemic. They have been offering to bring the test drive to you. They've done that. They've kept their showroom open as well, had it sanitized, had it cleaned, and all along the way, while they've been trying to provide this great customer service, they've been, just trying to offer as many great deals as possible along the way. It's the 22nd anniversary at Richard Carr. It's a big month for Richard Carr. They've been a great ambassador for the community, and Richard Carr himself is a wonderful man. So not only take advantage of the great deals that they have at their disposal this month, but also know that you're getting great deals from great people. Make your refund or stimulus bigger. When you add savings like a 2019 Buick Encore for only $169 a month. There's a 2018 GMC Terrain for only $208 a month. A 2018 GMC Sierra for only $374 a month. And 100% credit approval is always their goal. There are tons of deals, new and used cars on the lot, and the 2021s, like the Buick Enclave, have thousands in savings as well. The Buick Enclave, you can save $6,000. You can save $3,500 on the 2021 Buick Envision or the Buick Encore GX. Plus, they have prize giveaways and deep anniversary discounts on every car or truck on the lot. 22 years. Richard Carr has been helping serve the people of Waco and Central Texas, so take advantage of these great deals going on right now. They are your local family dealer and want to earn your business with great prices. Plus, you get free oil changes with a new purchase and priority warranty service on all vehicles purchased. You can also come by, of course, and check out their clean and disinfected showroom. The 22-year anniversary sales event going on right now at Richard Carr. Take advantage. Stop on by or give them a call, and they will set up a test drive and bring it to you.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible challenge. Hi, this is Dan Engel with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like instant issue debit cards free at all of our banking centers, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel and Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel and Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel and Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Artur Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. If anyone is curious about CBD, ask Carol and Ashley. Don Humidor in the Townwood Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco and Balcones whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbets, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasonings, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
She is the Big 12 Player of the Year. It really was not close. And today she went out and just continued to prove why. 26 points. Baylor beats TCU easily, 92-55. Nalissa Smith joins us. Paul, David, and Craig on SicEm365 Radio. Nalissa, thanks for your time. We have discussed the Player of the Year part before and what it meant to you. But what is it now? Just focus, tournament time, and just grind one game after another?
Absolutely. Just making sure I stay consistent, making sure my team comes out and plays hard every single game. Now it's just down to the little things. We got to pay attention to scout, watch film, and just making sure we're ready for every team.
You guys got a lot of fast breaks today. Not only what was going on there that allowed you to do that, but what does that do for momentum when you can get not just one but 3 or 4 kind of right in a sequence?
It just brings the energy to the game. When you get a fast break, that's where you said the momentum comes from. So getting the steal, getting the layup on the other end makes you hyped to play defense on the other end.
Melissa, have you guys talked about what it's like to be back a year later and, just kind of how weird last year was, but what's it like to be back all this time, all that you've gone through since then?
Yeah, we talk about it. We talk about how we're dedicating these games to the 4 seniors that didn't get to play in this tournament. So, we come out here every day. We're thinking about them. We're thinking about winning another championship. Everything's on our mind.
Now, Melissa, I've asked Coach Mulkey this before. You've been in some of the media sessions. The play of how you and Queen Egbo have raised your game even recently on top of what you've done the last few weeks. What was behind all of that? Was it just a matter of getting practices and games in, or was it something else the two of you understood needed to get done?
I feel like it's something that we feel like had to be done. Like, we're in that position. Like, we're not freshmen anymore. We know what we need to bring to this team. And it's finally like we're just both playing with the most confidence we've ever played with. So I feel like that's what's helping the team the most.
Melissa Smith with us, SicEm365 Radio. Craig?
Now, Melissa, just what do you feel like the chemistry has been like with this team all year long? You guys obviously have a close relationship. You spoke about that, but just how far do you think that can carry you in tournaments like this and what you're about to face?
I feel like this is what prepares us for tournaments like this. Just our chemistry on and off the court is very important in basketball. It's very important in life. So, once we build everything, I feel like we're unstoppable.
You have played at a certain level that is elite. The Player of the Year award was something you earned. Does that add any more to your shoulders, or is that almost something that you're so proud of that you understand the standard you have to play with every night?
Super proud. It's something I'm super proud of, blessed with. I thank God every day that I'm in this position. So, at this point now, I just have to stay consistent and make sure I'm playing hard every single game.
What is the focus right now with your team? Baylor, I've asked other players before what Baylor across the jersey means on the front. What does it mean to you? What does that mean to you when you put that jersey on?
It means everything to me. I remember being like that little kid in middle school, always dreaming to come to Baylor. So now that I am in this position, I know what I have to do. There's a standard at Baylor that it's a winning program. Like, Baylor's not known for losing a lot of games. So, coming to this program, I knew what I had to do.
Greg asked earlier about what you were and how you guys dealt with a year ago. And here you are, you're a game into the tournament. Now you have another one, the semifinals tomorrow. What is it like right now where you are? And is it difficult, even though you're getting able to play? Is it a little bit weird having to go through kind of a bubble experience?
Yeah, it is kind of weird. Nobody really wants to wear a mask and, be 6 feet from everybody. You see in all these teams, people, you have friends on other teams. It's just a weird experience when you just got to walk by each other. Just say a couple of words and not get to hug and do all the other things. So
now you move on to play either Iowa State. No, you actually move on to the next round. You're in the semifinals. You know who you're going to play, and you've played them before. Anything in particular special about the matchup tomorrow?
We just know what we have to do. Like you said, we played them twice. We just got to go watch film, do scout, make sure we see all the little things, see the things that we need to improve on from the last 2 games, just go out ready to play.
Hey, enjoy it, Melissa. Thanks for your time. I know you got to get to a team meal. Thank you for being a part of the show. Congratulations on today's win.
Thank you so much.
That's Melissa Smith, Player of the Year in the Big 12. She finished with 26 points. Queen Egbo at 8 points and 12 rebounds. And I mentioned Carrington at 17. Good to see Jordan Oliver's name in there. She scored 11. Texas, the basketball teams at UT are right now living on the edge. They beat Iowa State in overtime today. Of course, the men last night with that 67-66 win against Texas Tech move into the championship game. When they won that game, they didn't know. They were going to play Kansas, they thought, and now, of course, with that game being canceled, they move on to play the winner of Baylor and Oklahoma State. When we come back, Grayson Grudhafer, there's a huge camp coming up this weekend up in Dallas and Fort Worth. He and Brian Etheridge are going to give us coverage of that on SicEm365.com. He's next. This is SicEm365 Radio. IdealMRI.com. You want to save money? I think most of us always, there are things you may want to spend more money on because of value and quality. That's the complete opposite. You get the value and quality at Ideal MRI. You get state-of-the-art technology with the MRI machine. You get a staff that is absolutely amazingly professional, and the doctors that will read your MRI that are as good as anybody anywhere, anytime. But you get to spend less, $497 every time or less for an MRI at IdealMRI.com. I remember just a couple of 3 or 4 years back when all this started, I did endorsements for them, and I was like, man, that's incredible. Because there are times when an MRI could cost you thousands of dollars. The average MRI is $1,100. Ideal MRI, $497 or less every single time, and they'll help you with your insurance coverage and much more. You can go online or call them to set up an appointment. If your doctor says there's something really bad in your shoulder, your knee, wherever it might be, and you need an MRI, you suggest to them, hey, I want to go to Ideal MRI. They'll know about them, and then Ideal MRI will take care of you, and then they'll send the MRI to your doctor for them to see exactly what they see. IdealMRI.com in the Central Texas Marketplace in Waco, and IdealMRI.com online.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness was built to help give you a chance to enjoy elite tennis facilities and also remain fit or reshape your body. Now Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has gone through its own physical changes. There are 7 large flat screens stretched across the main and improved weight room with Wi-Fi available and their own app to enjoy news, business, weather, or sports channels. The beautiful sound of active treadmills and elliptical machines, group exercise classes throughout each day, a new ballet bar for bar classes, a new look lounge and bar with beer and wine with more large flat screens available. Touchless water fountains outside each spacious men's and women's locker rooms, showers, sauna, and whirlpool. Upgraded PA system throughout the world-class tennis courts and lessons for adults and juniors. I promise you'll look and feel better. You just need to walk through the front door. Also, Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness with personal trainers Christy London and Randall Corley. 40-plus group exercise classes, including twice-a-week boot camp. So start today, not tomorrow, at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
March marks 22 years for Richard Carr Motors. Celebrate with big savings going on now during the anniversary sale event.
I hate my job, but I don't mind getting up in the morning. I dread each day, but I can't wait to get out of bed. You ask me why, and what I'll say to you is true. Well, you can get breakfast tacos at Rudy's Barbecue. Scrambled eggs and brisket, they ain't fooling around. Sausage wrap, son, they're the best in town. Barbecue for breakfast, yes, it's true. Put a smile on your morning at Rudy's Barbecue. Next in line.
We've sent the nomination forms to area high school counselors for the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team, and we will find 20 elite student athletes who excel in both academic and athletic competition from Central Texas high schools. Hello, everyone. This is David Smoak. Our title sponsor is Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952. The 2021 Academic All-Stars program is also brought to you by Westdale Asset Management, Englander Design Pack, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Coca-Cola of Waco, Ray Broker Air Conditioning and Heating, Texas Sports Hall of Fame, HEB, the McLean Group, Universal Windows Direct, Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue, and the Waco Foundation are 501c3. Nomination deadlines March 31st. We'll eventually announce the team on Monday, May 3rd. Honor them at our annual banquet on Wednesday, May the 19th. It's the 11th annual Academic All-Stars team highlighting the elite student athletes in Central Texas right here on SicEm365 Radio.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's time for our weekly segment with Grayson Grudhafer of SicEm365.com. Brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
We are joined by Grayson Grudhafer. Very nice to us today. We had to bounce him around because we didn't know quite when we would have TCU and Baylor women's post game, and it hit perfectly with Melissa Smith at about 4 o'clock. Grayson, normally with us at 3:45s on Friday. So I guess you have a little big weekend coming up, huh? Full coverage, wall to wall, with you and Brian Etheridge up in Dallas, Fort Worth.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be really fun, guys. It's the first camp in a year, a big camp, really. And so it's going to be the Under Armour camp up in Arlington at Martin High School. It's going to be a really good one. I mean, we're talking pretty much the best players in all of Texas. You're going to have some kids from Oklahoma and Louisiana as well. Just because of the way the camp circuit is kind of laid out this year, Under Armour's only camp in Texas this year is actually going to be this one. So it's definitely going to be a priority for a lot of recruits. And I think there's, last count, I think Brian told me there's 67 guys with offers from Baylor attending the camp. So it's going to be a really fun one. It's going to be a really important one for the Baylor staff as they try to get some official testing numbers on some of their offers.
Of the 67, who are the ones that you're keen to watch?
Oh, man, guys. There's, I mean, like I said, there's so many good ones, but there are definitely a few that that I guess I'm really intrigued by. So the first one out of Gladewater, wide receiver DJ Allen. He's right around a 4-star guy. Really, really good player. Very twitchy. Very interested to see how he does in kind of the one-on-one coverage type thing. See how much he creates separation and just see what his route running, where that part of his game is currently at, because he's a fantastic player. But I want to see the little nuances. So he's one. Nick Hall out of Austin Aikens. The kid's about 6'7", almost 303 pounds. Massive kid, massive offensive lineman. I'm very curious to see how he moves, see how his hands are, and just kind of get a feel for really what he's like as a player. Because unless I've seen these kids in person, it's very hard to gauge that. And then the last one I guess I'll mention, just because, he's kind of been a huge Baylor target for a long time, and that's Jared Kerr out of Lexington High School. Big-time Baylor target. He's a safety, can pretty much play anywhere on the field. I mean, we're talking a kid that's had over 2,000 total yards of offense the past 2 seasons, while also racking up over 80 tackles the last 2 seasons as well. So fantastic two-way player. Very excited to see how he does at the camp, and also kind of talk to him a little bit, because it's been a little bit since I've been able to talk to him in person.
Grayson, how do these camps matter at all for college football coaches? Like, it's one thing, with all due respect for, you or some of these other analysts to be out there and slap a star ranking on these guys and talk about their positives or negatives, but like, how does what they do at the camp actually matter to the coaches they might play for?
Yeah, so someone brought this up on the board, talking about how, the drills don't matter and this camp really doesn't matter to the coaches. But I would say that's very incorrect, because the fact of the matter is, with what has happened with COVID, it is extremely difficult to get official testing numbers. And at camps like this, they run the 40, they run the shuttle, they do the vertical, all these measurements that you can't necessarily get from every recruit without for sure knowing if they're true or not. So really, this solidifies things for a lot of prospects. It also puts prospects on the radar. I can't tell you how many times I've seen a kid go to a camp and then the day after get a ton of offers because they finally have official testing times. And I'll go ahead and bring up one just because it makes sense to do so. But, I guess it was 2 classes ago, I think, Tay McWilliams out of, Houston Lamar Consolidated High School, he went out there and ran a 4.40 time, and the next day got a Baylor offer. And, of course, he ended up signing with the Bears in the 2020 class. So that's just one example, but it plays a huge role in a lot of these kids' recruitment, and it allows them to get on the map, especially during the crazy year we've had.
So 67 out of nearly 300. I have to ask this question because it's Friday and I'm a little bit flippant here. What if every one of them said they were coming to Baylor? How could a team? What do you do? Like all of a sudden, Dave Aranda and every one of his team, every one of his coaches got a text from XYZ. I'm committing to Baylor.
I mean, guys, if that situation happened, I mean, it would be picking and choosing. I mean, that's just simply the way that it would be. I mean, if you're getting them all at exactly the same time, you just pick which ones you want to take, and that's just college football. That's just the way it is. You know, if it was days apart, then you would take whoever committed first, most likely. But these coaches know what they're doing. These coaches know exactly how close guys are, also feel comfortable with their relationships enough to kind of bet on a guy making that decision to commit to Baylor. And so sometimes the staff will wait on that guy instead of taking commitments from other guys. And it happens all the time. It's a sad thing for sure. But that's why right when you get the offer, you should commit. And if you don't, then, you know, your spot is up in the air, and that's just the way it kind of has to be.
Grayson Grudhafer, Sic'em365.com with us on SicEm365 Radio. Craig?
Grayson, they had a lot of recruiting momentum. Zach Pyron joins the class. Have you gotten the sense that he's continued or others in the class have continued to recruit other guys, and kind of where do they stand? Are they going to have a little bit of a pause before we hear more news? Is it going to kind of settle down a little bit, or how do you kind of picture these next few weeks?
Yeah, the good news for Baylor is Zach Pyron has been very vocal on Twitter. His follows right when he committed to Baylor. He started following all the Baylor commits and a lot of the Baylor targets. So I found that to be really interesting, especially on the offensive side. So that's good to see because the quarterback a lot of times will recruit guys to come with him. Obviously, it's a little bit of a weird situation since he's in Alabama and a lot of the kids Baylor's recruiting are in Texas. Although this recruiting cycle has been weird. They've gone out of the state quite a bit. But yeah, he's done a really good job. I would say he's definitely been the most vocal as far as any of the commits go. But yeah, I think as far as momentum goes, Craig, I think you got to look at it from the perspective that, you know, they're kind of on a run right now, momentum-wise, and they've been able to kind of sustain that. But at some point, they are going to want to wait a little bit because you don't want to fill up too quickly because you want to have the opportunity to land some of your higher-end targets at the end. So I think they'll continue momentum. I don't know that we will see the stretch that they just most recently had in the month of February and I guess early March where they got 6 commits in like 2.5 weeks. I don't know if we'll see that, but I do think you'll see them spread out throughout March. You'll probably see a few more in April as well as this class kind of takes shape. And then you head into the summer with a lot of spots remaining, but you're able to kind of hone in on some of those top targets.
Grayson, the offensive line last year we know was a huge problem. There were a lot of problems, but some of it was just the fact that they were either out of position, didn't know what they were doing, didn't get enough reps, or they just got manhandled. I see videos now from the strength and conditioning of guys who are pushing weights that well beyond what a lot of them were doing. How much are you hearing about what Vic Valoria is doing within that training program, within that strength and conditioning program, especially with everybody but the offensive line right now?
Yeah, guys, it's night and day, the difference between what was going on last season and what's going on now. Vic Valoria has done a fantastic job. He's very focused, very organized. He has everything very structured, which I think kids really like, that structure about, you know, the strength and conditioning program. But also, you know, if you watch those videos, you know, they're having fun too, and having fun in regards to, you know, moving heavy weight, because that's very fun, you know, to see those strength gains that they're making. And you see it with the offensive line. You see it in those videos a lot. And I have heard really positive things about what he's been able to do and the culture that he's been able to bring in to that strength and conditioning program, a culture of work and intensity through every rep. It's been noticeable. And everyone I've heard from, it's a huge improvement from where they were at a year ago. And I think we're going to see the benefits on the field. You know, people that cover Baylor football, I think, are going to see something very different, especially up front from those big guys. And I think you'll also see it from, you know, the skill position guys as well. But, yeah, you're exactly right. The offensive line and defensive line are the areas to watch, and those guys are definitely adding weight, getting stronger, while also staying very athletic, which is really the key to any strength and conditioning program for those big guys.
Grayson, Baylor basketball in the Big 12 tournament, taking on Oklahoma State. Struggled, obviously, in their opening game against K-State, but what are your thoughts on what you saw and what you think we'll see the rest of this weekend?
Yeah, really excited about this matchup. I think that Baylor has a lot to prove after that game against Kansas State. You know, I've thought this for a while now, but because of that pause Baylor had, they really just need to play more games. And so every game they get to play before the NCAA tournament is a bonus and something that I think will help them. So, in my opinion, it's very important that they come out and win this game. Oklahoma State's a very good team. They're rolling right now. I think they've won, 7 of their last 8, with their only loss being to Baylor. So, yeah, they're doing some things really well, but I expect this Baylor team to play a lot better than they did against Kansas State. And I expect them to go out and get their 3rd win against Oklahoma State. I think you're going to see a team with more of a chip on their shoulder. You know, Jared Butler, I think he pays attention to the awards. And I think he knows that Cade Cunningham was the guy that won Big 12 Player of the Year. And I think he is going to take that personally. And also, bad news for Oklahoma State, Jared Butler had one of his worst games of the year as far as the turnovers go against Kansas State. So I think that's going to be corrected as well. And I expect Baylor to roll. I think they're going to cover the 9-point spread, and I think they're going to move on to the Big 12 Tournament Championship to face Texas.
As someone that covers not just Baylor recruiting, but you also cover recruiting from many others around the state, I saw the note from Evan Stewart. He decommitted from Texas. They've had a nice run. They're one of the top right now, 5, and they always end up pretty much in that neighborhood, although maybe not this past spring. They're going to get who they want most of the time, but they're going to suffer a loss or two. Tell us a little bit about Evan Stewart. Is that anyone that Baylor has a chance for, or is he looking at what you would call the alpha dog blue bloods?
Yeah, that's a great question, Smokey, because Evan Stewart was one of those guys who had a great relationship with James Blanchard early on in his recruitment. And, you know, honestly, I think if James Blanchard didn't go to Carolina and stayed with Baylor, they would probably be in the running for Evan. But at this point, I think that it would take a lot for Baylor to land him. They really I just wouldn't say they've been a huge player in his recruitment as of recently. The decommitment from Texas is surprising because he was only committed there for, like a month, I think. So I think that recruitment has a long way to go. I know Texas A&M is definitely going to be a player in that recruitment as well, and they've been on a roll recently. So, yeah, very good player. He's going to be recruited by everyone. He's a borderline 5-star guy. I think Baylor will continue to reach out, but at this point, it's just very tough to recruit 5-star guys when, you know, Dave Aranda only has 2 wins in his time at Baylor. So I think the key right now, if Baylor wants any shot at landing guys like that, is just being in it. So the season starts, hoping those guys don't commit, and then winning games during the season, winning 8 or 9 games. That can definitely change kids' minds, and that's when you can see that positive momentum effect, much like Matt Rule had right before he left for Carolina.
Yeah, it did. You will be in Arlington. Brian Etheridge will be there. And 250 or so athletes from around the state. It really, you know, on this date, which this is a year ago when the Big 12 tournament shut down, a year ago yesterday the NBA shut down. This is eye-opening when you say it's the first camp in a year, because there used to be like weeds in the spring in your yard, even if you had good fertilizer, right? So,
yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Yeah, and it was in Durant, Oklahoma was the last camp Brian and I went to, and I think it was exactly a year ago.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, good for you, man. Thank you. Have fun. Enjoy it. I can't wait to see the coverage, as can so many others, on SicEm365.com. That's Grayson Grudhafer. He and Craig do the podcast every week. Put it up in the premium section. It's awesome. It covers so much. And that is Grayson Grudhafer. How about that? A camp is back. Also, Jason King is open for a quick hit. He's in Kansas City. We'll have him. You want to break here or go straight to him?
You call it. We can
go straight to him right now. You got time for that?
Yeah.
All right. Katie Stager-Smith, volleyball analyst for Baylor, will join us at about 4:45 or 4:50. Baylor volleyball had a match with North Texas canceled, so we'll get into that, plus their recent win against Texas State. They have Texas on the horizon as well, and they're about maybe, 3 weeks away or so from the NCAA tournament. Remember, they played some of their games, in fact, back in the fall of last year. So Baylor and Oklahoma State, round 3. The winner gets Texas, who are in the Longhorns are in the conference championship game. And Jason King, our very own SicEm365.com and thefield68.com, joins us on SicEm365 Radio. I read a lot of what you put up in the forums in the premium section. Jason, how much do you think yesterday was kind of like shaking off some of the cobwebs as well?
Yeah, I hope that's what it was. I'm guessing it was. I mean, give K-State a little credit, but I think Baylor could have easily maybe entered that game already kind of looking ahead to the semifinals, having beat K-State by 48 points one game, 39 the other. I mean, maybe they just didn't take them quite as seriously. And, we've harped on the negatives of yesterday, but there was some positives too. I mean, I think Baylor shot right around 50%, maybe a little over. Huge games by Mitchell and Teague, and Butler did some nice things. Vital had a good game. So there were some positives to take out of it. But tonight's a whole different beast. I mean, they're playing a team now that I think's won 6 of their last 7 of 8. I can't remember. But Oklahoma State's really, really good. It's the first time all year that they've played these guys when Oklahoma State's completely healthy. Likely will play, and obviously Cunningham will play. So it's gonna be a tough one, man. And like we talked about yesterday, I think these two teams always bring out the best in each other. The game's always exciting.
Jason, what's the vibe like after the Kansas news there?
Just dejection and disappointment, and it just sucks. I thought Texas was going to beat Kansas anyway, but I mean, when that doesn't matter. I mean, you want to see 2 good games if you're in town for the tournament, and this just gives all the naysayers and the Corona bros and the sports media and the media in general, more ammo, and I'm sure they're all probably walking around excited right now, but because they feel like they've been proven right. But I don't feel that way. But overall, I mean, it just stinks. And now people are, is Kansas even going to be able to play in a tournament? And I mean, which they will. But everyone was looking forward to that game tonight. I think it would have been a good one. And and now whoever wins this tournament, whether it's Baylor or Oklahoma State or Texas, all the loud voices out there to say, yeah, but you didn't really legitimately win it because Kansas wasn't in there at the end. So that just stinks, that it's going to be that way. But, it is what it is.
Yeah, Jason, so for KU, do they just now basically bunker down and try to be as separated as possible for the next couple of days? I mean, how is that going to kind of work on their end?
Yeah. I mean, I just talked to Gary Bedore, one of their beat writers from the Kansas City Star. He said Kansas is going to actually stay here in Kansas City at their hotel and not go back to Lawrence, and they're going to kind of, like you said, bunker down and go from here directly to, wherever they're set for the NCAA tournament. They had 2 players that David McCormick and Tristan Anaruna, who were already out of the Big 12 tournament, and they'll be done with their quarantine. They should be by the start of the NCAA tournament, especially if Kansas gets its first game on Saturday. Remember, this first week of the tournament, I think the first 4 that we usually see played on a Tuesday, they're going to play that on Thursday this time. And so the first weekend, instead of the Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday, you're going to have a Friday, Sunday, Saturday, Monday split. So I think Kansas is hoping their first game is Saturday. So then we'll at least get those 2 players back. And the young man that tested positive today probably won't be able to play for them that first weekend. I don't even know which player that was, but I think they're just hoping no one else comes down with it. And as they test throughout the week. Because if that happens, then they could be in trouble.
Well, you mentioned that if whoever wins the tournament, whether it's Oklahoma State, Baylor, or Texas, well, you didn't have to play Kansas. Kansas ran through the entire season without any problems. Isn't that ironic that they get to this point?
Yeah.
And then
all
of a sudden
all over Twitter, they've been making fun of Baylor.
Yes.
And the other schools that had to cancel games. And
be careful what you wish for.
How they did. Yeah, Baylor didn't do a good job of handling its business, is what they like to say. And now here they are at the most crucial time of the season. Right. Really impacted. So
the wheel of COVID has no pattern. I mean, it just spins.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing when people like that treat stuff like that and act like they have all the answers and know how it's all supposed to be handled. No one knows. If they did, we wouldn't be in this situation right now. So it's tough.
Jason, do you think
I'm looking forward
to
tonight, man. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Jason, do you think that there's been much talk from the men's side of things about how they played against Kansas State, or do they just completely clear that like it didn't even happen and just ultra focused on Oklahoma State?
Well, I think it's not so much about that one game, but I just think there's a couple of trends that we've seen, lately with Baylor that, it's a little bit, let's just be honest, are a little troublesome. I think defensively that they haven't been that elite team that we'd come to know last year and then for most of this year. I think Jonathan Samachachua, especially in the paint, has really been a liability defensively, and Matthew Meyer has struggled defensively, and they've given up a lot of easy baskets down low, and that's something they've got to fix. I mean, when you see it happening against a bad team in K-State, then you really start to worry about, better teams with better big men. And, I think the other thing is, the thing we talked about all season was how good Baylor's bench was, and how that was the kind of cherry on top and the things that really would push them, that really separated them from the other elite teams in the country. And, since they've returned from COVID, JTT is averaging 2.4 points and 1.5 rebounds, something like that. In his last 5 games, Adam Flagler is averaging just over 2 points a game. Yesterday, he played 20 minutes and didn't even attempt a shot. Meyer had those 2 really good games against West Virginia and Oklahoma State, but has been, struggled so bad the last 2 games. They've had a hard time keeping them on the court. So those 3, at least a couple of them, they've got to get them back on track here, and hopefully tonight it'll be a good game to get that done, because again, I think that bench is really what makes people think of Baylor as an elite team. The 5 starters are great, but when you bring it, we've had games. They've had games this year when they scored, the bench scored 30, 40 points, and to have them scoring 5 is just not something people are used to.
Yeah, I think they had 7 points or whatever it was you brought up in the game against Kansas State, and it's back-to-back games for Matthew Meyer. Hey, man, thank you. Enjoy.
Yeah.
Everyone else is bubbled up. You get to go. Now, and I'm not making – yes, I am. I don't mean to. You said yesterday that there's some guys walking around who are covering the tournament in basically hazmat outfits.
Yeah, well, it's just there's one reporter, the extra woke reporter who came to me yesterday, and he had on a face mask, but it wasn't like the face mask that you and I might wear, the surgical one. It was like one of those plastic ones, like if you knocked on it with your fist, it would sound like you were knocking on the door, kind of like a plastic face mask. And then on top of that, over that, he had on the plexiglass shield over his face. And he was trying to talk to me, and I couldn't hear him because there was so many barriers between his mouth and me. I couldn't, his voice wasn't coming through all that stuff, and I was just like, my gosh.
Well, Jason had a good time in Kansas City.
That's what it was like. I had another reporter tell me that he was excited just to be out of his house. He's like, this is the first event I've been to in a year. And I'm just like, not sporting event, but just event. And he's like, one day I just couldn't take it anymore, so I went and did audio at a city court hearing or something, but I just had to go. I was like, so in a year you've been out of your house 2 times? And he's like, yeah. So I don't know. Everyone deals with it differently, but it's not something I'm used to.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you're right. Everyone can wear whatever they want.
Yep.
Thanks for your time. Jason King with us.
Guys.
Field68.com. He and Ashley have their podcast. I think the other day they had one with Maceo Teague that was awesome. And they'll have coverage throughout the weekend as long as Baylor's still there, and they play today in less than an hour against Oklahoma State. Also, coming up, Katie Stager-Smith, former Baylor volleyball star. She does their analyst work as well. They had their match with North Texas canceled. She'll join us next. And also, my conversation with Baylor assistant coach John Jacobs. We'll have that at 5 o'clock. Very insightful about what right now means to them in many ways that aren't even basketball thoughts. And we'll hear from Eric Villasenor. He's the head coach at Wynn High School in Eagle Pass on Dave Aranda's virtual coaching clinic recently this week at the Texas Hispanic Coaches Association. And this is SicEm365 Radio.
If you are a reporter and your hazmat suit fails at your covering an event, you may need a COVID test. You may need a mass COVID test for all the people around you in your office or whatever. Look, here's what you need to do. ImpactHealthLabs.com. Remember that website, ImpactHealthLabs.com. School, office, whatever you want to talk, dormitory, they can do it. They will come to you. They'll do the test at your site, and you'll have the results back within 24 hours, and you will know if you've had an outbreak or not. ImpactHealthLabs.com. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 military-trained medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, precision, doing the job right, and getting it done quickly. That's what they do at Impact Health Labs. So remember the website, ImpactHealthLabs.com.
Ram Truck Month means special pricing on new Ram trucks at Allen Samuels. The 3P Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab, has special values up to $7,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $3,000 in combo cash. Visit the customer award-winning Allen Samuels, located at 201 West Loop 340 in Waco, for the 3-time Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab. Ram Truck Month is going on now at Allen Samuels, your friend in the car business.
See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
Born in Waco, Brotherwell Brewing exists to serve the Central Texas community with locally crafted beer of the highest quality. They want to bring Central Texas closer to the brewing experience so everyone can enjoy well-made beer as much as they do. For 2.5 years, they've been bringing high-quality beer to Central Texas at their location on Bridge Street in East Waco. Brotherwell Brewing believes in community and bringing people together to enjoy products made in their community. So for your game day, whether it's a tailgate or at home, stop by Brotherwell Brewing for high-quality craft beer made right here in Central Texas, 400 East Bridge Street, and check them out online at brotherwell.com.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
At Baylor University, students can shine in their own way. Or should we say their own ways? Because there's no limit to the ways Baylor students make the world a brighter place. Whether they're leading a student organization or following a higher calling, getting advice from faculty, or taking part in world-class research, pursuing their dreams, or working toward their dream job, students find their place to shine at Baylor, where lights shine bright.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
The SicEm365 Radio app is sponsored by Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat in Waco. Your friend in the car business at Loop 340 and east of 84. Come by. Let's be friends.
All right, here we go. This 4 o'clock hour wrapping up. In the 5 o'clock hour, Baylor assistant coach John Jacobs from Kansas City in a conversation from earlier today. Right now, we're joined by Katie Stager-Smith, former Baylor volleyball star, analyst as well. Katie, thanks for your time today. Their match tonight with North Texas was canceled. They had one with Oklahoma. I think it might have been a week ago. How much are missing these matches going to hurt them?
Yeah, I think it's such a bummer, right? And that's kind of been the story of this year for sport programs across the country. But I think it's definitely a bummer to not be able to have these two just opportunities to play another team. I think with UNT, they got to play them once at home already. So that experience, maybe not as much, but missing OU is a little bit of a bummer this spring, just so that they can have those real game-like situations to put kind of all their practice into play.
How important is it to get as many matches in before you play Texas again?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is important. I would say getting to kind of implement with, the fans there, the real game-like setup. But I think a lot of the time with a team like Texas, how you practice goes a long way too, right? So being able to scout those exact players in practice and kind of emulate how they're going to play, whether that be your scout team. I know Ryan McGuire is really big on if, the starting six for Baylor volleyball are the best team in the country, then the other side needs to be the second best team in the country. So I think that the depth of this Baylor volleyball roster goes really far. The fact that they're getting a lot of high-level competition in practices just because of the quality of the team.
How much is volleyball a rhythm sport? As far as you mentioned, practicing and being in that groove, but as far as playing games and being in that rhythm of playing games, how much does that matter, if at all?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of rhythm. It's a lot of momentum. I think we've seen how these student athletes have kind of been ripped from the ability to get rhythm, especially when you look at, in a normal season in the fall, they're playing, at least for the Big 12, they're playing Wednesdays and Saturdays. So very rhythmic, very, you play on Wednesday, you practice Thursday, you prep for the game on Saturday and Friday's practice, and then you get back out on the court and do it all again. So this year, especially in the fall, when you look at their doubleheader schedule where they're playing games back-to-back and then having a whole week off, it definitely it is a game of rhythm and momentum, but I think the practice that they were able to get in the fall has set them up pretty nicely to be able to handle just kind of whatever the schedule, whatever the season throws at them.
How difficult is it for Yoshiata Presley to be as good as she was last year and the standards she set? She's obviously an All-American. She's obviously elite. Yeah. But how difficult is it to follow up even though she's very good at what she does? Yeah, I think it's tough, right? She's, as decorated as any player in the NCAA, especially with that ESPN National Player of the Year last year. But just knowing Yossi, watching the way she plays, I mean, she never settles. She wants to be better tomorrow than she was today. And I think the thing that really impresses me about her is, one, her performance this season, but two, just the fact that every team she plays knows that she's the go-to, right? They're sending the block out there early on her. They're game planning strictly to shut her down, and she's still able to produce with these awesome numbers. And right, a lot of that has to do with setters, defense, the whole team. But I think Yossi Presley will just continue to get better because that's her personality. That's like the kind of player she is.
All right, so they're going to have 8 days between games. Does that worry you at all? I don't think it worries me. I mean, I think there's always silver linings, right? Maybe
if someone was feeling a little bit banged up, it gives them a little time to recover. I think they're excited to get back on the court just so that they can have those practices or those real in-game experiences before actually playing other teams and basically just trying to prepare them for that NCAA tournament.
What about this, Katie Stager-Smith with us on SicEm365 Radio? They have what are 4 matches, Houston, Rice on the road, Texas, and Texas State, until the tournament. Will they have played enough, as long as nothing else is shut down, to be ready for tournament play?
Yeah, I think that all just kind of comes down to the mentality of the team. I think ideally they would get, in a perfect world, it'd be a normal year, right? They'd be getting to play their normal conference slate, building up to the tournament, trying to play their best volleyball by the end of the year. I think just the ability for the girls to say, hey, we've had those experiences in the fall and making the most of each time they get out on the court this spring to kind of try to emulate as much normalcy as possible. I think that's going to be huge for them in these next few matches before the selection show.
Who is maybe someone that you've seen, Katie, step up this year that gives them even more of a chance and not the same names?
Yeah. I think a couple players come to mind, one being Marika Vandermark on the right side. We've seen her in the past couple matches just really come alive. Just the way that she is able to put balls away. Right, yeah, you've heard the names, Alciana Presley, Kira McGee, and how many balls they get, and just being able to add Marika Vandermark to that offense has been awesome. And then another one I would say would be Chanel Bramschreiber. I think a lot of times liberos don't get the praise, don't get the glory that a lot of times hitters do. But I mean, just her consistency this spring specifically, back in the fall as well, but her consistency in serve receive, her consistency defensively has just kind of been that like silent push to get everything in the offense moving forward to set up those incredible setters in Hannah Sedgwick, in Callie Williams that we get to see, kind of giving them balls to be able to distribute so well, right? We saw a Hannah Sedgwick set an offense of 398 in this match earlier this week, and a lot of that does come down to passers like Chanel Bramschreiber setting her up for that.
Katie, thank you very much. Craig, I tried to text you. I'm sorry, but do you have anything else for Katie?
No, I'm good.
Okay,
thanks.
Thank you very much. All right, Katie, thank you so much. Thanks for being flexible this week on your time and day. Thank you, and have a great weekend. All right.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
That's Katie Stager-Smith, Baylor analyst on volleyball. Baylor now, as Paul mentioned, they have a break. They don't play until the 18th and 19th back-to-back in Houston, at Houston, and then at Rice. Then a week after that, it's Texas at home, and they close out on the 1st of April against Texas State, who they just beat 3-0, but then the NCAA tournament will be about a week or two after that. So they have a lot of gaps in their schedule between now and the NCAA tournament.
Is Rice's gym as much a journey into the past as their football stadium is?
I don't know. I would think probably. I don't know. I mean, it's,
like I remember going to the bathroom and like opening the door and saying, I think when they installed this door, Eisenhower was president. Oh my God. I mean, the doors. I mean, it was good craftsmanship. But I was thinking, like, man, this is an old door.
John Jacobs. I don't even know where to go with that. John Jacobs will join us in the next segment. All right, so a couple of nights ago, I was watching ESPN2. I thought there was going to be a game on, and it was Ali Frazier won. It was the entire fight. It had been digitized to make it look even better, although, because it was on closed circuit, I think, before. And it was I thought it was well done. Then they showed the second fight, the follow-up fight. I think that was in New York. That was in Madison Square Garden. Then they fought again. I forgot where. And then the third fight, of course, the Thrilla in Manila, which ended on after the 14th round. These guys beat the living hell out of each other for 15-29 for 41 rounds. I mean, savage. When boxing, of course, like I get off my lawn, old man. So I text Craig. Craig, did you have a chance? I'm curious because I haven't asked you this. Did you have a chance to turn it over at any time after I sent you the text about Ali and Frazier and watch any of it?
No, I was in the middle of watching something else that was live. So, the thing about it is that I've watched them before. So, like, I've seen those those fights on TV multiple times before and sat and watched them in years past. So, I mean, I'd seen it. I might have, maybe missed something on this particular special, but, I was in the middle of watching something else.
No, you didn't miss anything because if you'd seen it before. But there was a young analyst in the studio.
Don't spoil it for anybody.
Oh, I'm not. No, there's an analyst in the studio, and I forgot who some of the others were. I've gone blank on that. Joe Tessitore, I think, was one of them, and he does some boxing and stuff, and even UFC, I believe. But there was a young fighter in the studio, and after watching the first fight, like rounds 11 through 15, and Frazier knocked Ali down in the 15th round, he pretty much sewed up the fight. He had won a unanimous decision. He, as a young fighter, said he doesn't even know how mentally how they were surviving what they were launching at each other. There were sometimes 55 to 70% kill shots, like boom, shots to the body, to the head, and they were hitting at an amazing rate. Frazier was hitting Ali at an unbelievable rate, and this young fighter was like, even him, he's like, I don't know how they got through that.
Well, one, boxing has changed a lot since then, so you don't really see fights like that anymore. And two, the answer to the question, and this may seem like an oversimplification, but it's pretty easy. The two guys in those fights were two of the most mentally tough athletes maybe the most mentally tough human beings in the history of the world. I mean, fighting for that was easy compared to some of the other stuff that they were trying to do in their lives at that time in the world. So to me, I think that, knocking the hell out of each other, as much rivalry and passion that was in that, was the easiest part of their life.
There was a story by one of the analysts, and I really wish I could remember who it was, but he was telling this story about after the fight, Ali was not going to be in the hospital longer than Frazier, even though Frazier won the fight, and he did win the fight. It was unanimous, and it was pretty, not lopsided, but one of the cards was like 10 rounds to 5. One of them was like 8 rounds to 6 and one tie, and then the other one was like maybe 9 to 6 or whatever. But Ali stayed in touch with the hospital where Frazier was, because Frazier's eyes, you know how he took hits and just kept coming. The only one who ever could knock him down or out was Foreman. And that he did not want to stay in the hospital longer than Frazier, even though he himself had taken a beating. The backstory was there was, in fact, a report that got back to the Ali camp that Frazier was on his deathbed and that he might have even passed away. And now this is from the guy who was the analyst telling this story. And the main host, Tessitore, said, listen, this fight happened 50 years ago. There have been millions upon millions upon millions of words written about Muhammad Ali and his career, and I've never heard this story, that Ali went down to his knees and started, with his hand in his forehead to the ground with his Muslim background, praying that it was not true. And these guys hated each other. Like, Frazier hated Ali because Ali called him the gorilla and tried to call him an Uncle Tom, and had a lot of things that were vicious. Some of it was meant to try to get under Frazier's skin, and on one occasion he did when they were looking back at the fight a couple years later. But he went down to the Greek, fell to his knees, praying to God that the word that Frazier was on his deathbed or died was not true. They couldn't live without each other.
But they respected each other, that's for sure.
Yeah, well,
I mean, at least
they respected each other as fighters, as boxers, not so much as people.
They weren't bros.
Yeah.
You mentioned the fights, and I looked it up. The first two were at Madison Square Garden, and the third was in Manila.
Yeah, and that third one, I even to this day, when I watched that last round, because Ali is just peppering Frazier, and his face again looks like he's been hit with a bee, like stuck his face in a beehive. All the fights, but that's the fight when Ali afterwards was on his stool when Angelo Dundee saw that Hank Durham had thrown in the towel or was going to call the fight, and Frazier was no. And Ali later on said he wasn't so sure had he not Frazier done that. Ali was on the verge himself. He felt like that's as close to death as you could possibly be. And that fight was in Manila, so you can imagine the heat plus 14 rounds of beating each other up the way they did.
Could you imagine telling a boxer today, tell Vitaly, Klitsch, that's a couple years ago, but tell any of those guys today, hey, we're going to fight outside in an actual jungle.
It's like Kinshasa, Zaire. That was one of the things.
We're going to fight in Zaire. They'd be like, no, I'm not going to do that.
There used to be fights on the outdoors of Vegas, but they're usually in the evening, and it was probably more crisp.
I guarantee you they didn't do it in July in Vegas, where it's still 100 degrees when you walk outside.
All right, when we come back, I want to get to that Major League Baseball story. We might be able to do that between the interviews we have coming up in Paul's 5 at 5:55. Major League Baseball is going to use minor league baseball as a guinea pig again on certain things to try to change up the game. And one of them, I'll tease this, is the shift. Rules of which all 4 infielders have to have their heels or better on the infield dirt. And in some cases, they cannot be on one side of a base or the other. They're trying to keep the analytics of they want to see more balls get in play is what they want. We'll get that in the 5 o'clock hour.
Tell hitters to learn how to hit the other way.
Well, no, you get Tony Gwynn, Rod Carew, and others. Yeah, Pete Rose, they could do that. When we come back, Baylor's about a half an hour away from tip-off and a great win against Oklahoma State, round 3 with them. And John Jacobs. If you love Baylor men's basketball, I think you'll love these next few minutes. I know you're getting ready for the game. John Jacobs next on SicEm365 Radio. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, as the Baylor men's and women's basketball teams drive for a championship. You can drive championship-level cars, trucks, and SUVs. Ted Teague and the great folks at Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat. AJ the other day reached out to me just out of nowhere, just sent me a text. Hey, man, how you doing? AJ's the one that sold me a car back in May of a year ago. And after I drove off the lot, he didn't forget about me. He reaches out to me. First, he's an incredible sports fan. He's sold cars to a lot of people, athletes that we cover. And so he just stays in touch. And I know that has nothing to do with what discounts or whatever might be with Ram or Chrysler or Jeep. It's about customer service. It's about a guy that sold me a car and stays in touch with me because it was more important. Yes, he got paid, but months later, he continues to try to find out how I'm doing and how the car is doing. Right now, March is Ram Truck Month. Right now, the new 2021 Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab values up to $7,000, 0% for 84 months. One of the new Dodge lineup, the first domestic brand ranked highest overall in J.D. Power's initial quality study. Dodge Performance Days, here's one of them. How about the Chrysler 300 Touring, the 2020, $6,250 in total values or 0% for 84 months. And the Jeep Celebration event, the Jeep Cherokee Latitude 2021 model, $6,000 in total values, 0% for 84 months. Or the 2020 new Jeep Renegade Latitude, total values of $7,250 or 0% for 84 months. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, the championship drive in March. Like Baylor, men's and women's basketball. Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma. And they have to come here. They're used to lights. They're used to water in their mouth. They're used to experience. They already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
After my first car accident, I feared the biggest damage would be to my wallet. I expected a mountain of bills and a long, drawn-out process. But my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent was there when I needed her and helped me get back on my feet and in my car in no time. Instead of a hassle, I got reassurance and a quick recovery.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Let
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm, welcome home.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine has their easy-to-access drive-thru open and convenient and clean in-store location on the corner of Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street in Waco. Riverbend Liquor has the best and most extensive variety of craft beer selections in Waco, and Balcones Whiskey, including single malt, pot still, baby blue, rye, brimstone, and the all-new Lineage in stock. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, family-owned and operated, and a hidden gem in Waco on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street. And find out more on Facebook and Instagram.
It's time to fire up the grill, heat up the oven, or get that deep fryer going to enjoy the top quality products at Waco Custom Marketplace. Order 30-pound sacks of live crawfish by 6 on Wednesday. Pick up on Friday afternoon after 2 or Saturday. Enjoy the weekend. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish available right now for $4.25 a pound. Find all the crawfish boil ingredients you need, including red beef potatoes, sausage, corn cobbettes, and Louisiana boil seasoning. Make your order for live crawfish by Wednesday at 6. Pick up on Friday after 2 or all day Saturday, and enjoy the weekend. Waco Custom Marketplace, your home for fresh baked kolache, cinnamon rolls every day. Butcher shop to cut your steaks the way you want. Fresh seafood, summer sausage, boudin, house cured and smoked bacon, spices, seasoning, soup mixes, and more, and weekly gift boxes for any occasion. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Teague floats one off the window. Score it, plus the foul.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Tom Albers, staying in touch with you and your money through these difficult and changing times. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now, here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
John Jacobs, Baylor assistant basketball coach with me. David Smoak on SicEm365 Radio. That was a grinded-out game. That's over. K-State's done. One and done or one and go. Move on, whatever. You guys know you're going to be in the tournament and most likely a number one seed. How much did you see from your team today, this morning, or even late yesterday, following the loss and knowing they have to play better tonight?
Yeah, thanks for having me. We appreciate all you do for us. And I think any game is a good game, and any game in the Big 12 is a game that you can learn from. And sometimes when you play somebody 3 times, specifically after the first 2 were a little easier than maybe you thought going into it, there's a tendency to maybe relax, or there's a tendency for the other team to be hyped up. I know K-State also had a chance to play on the floor the day before us and see the ball go in. They made a bunch of threes against their first opponent. So between Bruce Weber's ability to scout, the improvements that they've made in the defense since we've seen them last, the way they shot the 3 for both days, and then just their overall competitive spirit, we really respect K-State. They didn't quit, and they probably made us better at the end of it. So it's always good when you've got to learn so much from film and you don't have practice time. To have games be valuable, and that game was invaluable for us moving forward.
Do you feel like perhaps, and I'm not saying this is because I'm not someone that breaks down the X's and O's, but did it almost seem like there was a little bit too much freewheeling yesterday? Maybe they, because of the push to win the conference title and what you mentioned as well, that there was a little bit maybe one-on-one stuff that is kind of not what's made you special?
Yeah, I think that the freewheeling stuff can show itself in a couple ways. One is there's moments where you can tend to over-dribble. And when you have 3 All-American guards like we do, all have made an All-American team at this point, the self-belief can get you in moments. You just believe that you can do things where ball movement may be the better solution. And then it really peeks its head out with the turnover deal. And we're a team that averages 17% turnover rate. we want 11 or less, and we had 21. So there is a laziness with the ball that occurred yesterday. And then you got to give K-State some credit. They changed their ball screen coverage, the way they rotated, how long they stayed on the guard. They forced us to do some of it. So some of it was self-inflicted wounds. Some of it was because of K-State's improved plan. But whatever it is, we know for sure that we're great when the ball doesn't stick, and we're great when we don't throw it to the other team 21 times.
Do officials call the game in a tournament differently than they do during a regular season game? What I mean by that, do they allow it to become more physical, and is that something you have to adjust to?
I think there's some truth to that. We feel that for sure. Coach Drew mentioned it to the team last night. There's a mental preparation to postseason basketball where for long stretches there may be less calls, less free throws shot, a higher physicality. There's that 2 seconds where the ball's in the air and you can rebound, box out. We call it crack down, hit people, and there's more freedom in the postseason to kind of hit in that moment. And then you could also see as people guarded the ball, even the way they were maybe allowed to physically push a Jared Butler or dictate where the ball goes a little bit more. And we know that's true. We actually think the toughest team wins, so that's not something we can critique or get caught up in. The refs are doing a great job. We have the best refs in the world in the Big 12, and it's our job to just adjust to it, handle it better, improve our ball handling, and then go ahead on the defensive end and not be scared to ramp up our own physicality and not be the team that regrets not being physical enough to win in the postseason. So we think there's something to that for sure, but for us it's much less about the refs and more about how we respond, and we just need to hit first.
Coaching at this time, is it more mental or physical preparation?
It's mental. I mean, you don't even have a choice. I think you're trapped in a hotel. We're stuck on one floor as a team. We only get to go out as a group to the bus and to practice. Besides that, we're allowed to leave our hotel floor to go down to eat and do film. So even our walkthroughs for the majority of the time are in a hotel ballroom. So there's only, and especially 3 games in 3 days, there's only so much you can do physically. Their legs are exhausted, especially we want to get to day 3, hopefully, with this whole deal. And if we want fresh legs on day 3 of 3 games in 3 days, it's got to be mental preparation. That's why they say teams with multiple guards do better in the postseason, and teams that are older tend to do better in the postseason, because most of your learning in legs tend to lean towards teams that have those 2 qualities. So we believe we have those 2 qualities, but we're going to have to do a great job with our film and then come out today and show that we learned from it.
Is there anything from playing them so recently on Thursday in that game that eventually you win by 11, you won in Stillwater, is there anything to having to beat a team 3 times, or is that just talk?
So today we're going to guard them and they're going to guard us. And more often than not, we're going to get through their sets and they're going to get through our sets defensively. And then you're almost stuck to make a play because the other team is so well coached and knows you so well. It's what happens when you're stuck. Do you have the grit and determination to share with your teammates, make a play for others, be selfless? Or when they've guarded your set and they have you memorized, is that the moment where you're going to choose to over-dribble or try to do it yourself? So it requires a certain selflessness about you. And I just think that by game 3, we need to know going in that if we don't choose that selflessness with a team that knows us this well and just played us less than 10 days ago, that's going to be problematic. This is an excellent basketball team, and they have a number of guys who can score after we guard their set by themselves. So that's kind of like the war within the war. Mm-hmm. After both teams have guarded each other perfectly, what individuals are going to make plays for others instead of try to do it themselves.
John Jacobs, Baylor men's basketball with me on SicEm365 Radio. Cade Cunningham, Avery Anderson, obviously likely I think is back, and we know that there was a little bit of chatter about the Big 12 Player of the Year, whether it was the media, the coaches, or whatever, and we know Cade Cunningham is special. Avery Anderson's good. All of them are good. They're good. Like you said, Coach Boynton's done a great job, and so are you. Is there anything to that today when it comes to who was the player of the year, and how do you, and Jared's mature enough, and Cade Cunningham understands it as well. There's nothing to that plays into today, is there, or is there?
I don't think the awards have much to do with today. I think that more than anything, we should compliment them, and I think the cool thing about their head coach is he's been so complimentary towards us also. I mean, they're a team that's probably going to be a top 3 seed. They've got the player of the year in our league. Avery Anderson, you mentioned him, he's really grown. He's playing unbelievable lately. Likely didn't play last game. We know Boone is really one of the most improved players in our league. And so you can fight over the awards, or you can acknowledge the other team's growth and just realize that you're going to have to play your best basketball today. And our best basketball has nothing to do with an individual or who got an award. Our best basketball is when we play together, we're unified, we play with joy. You know, our mantra is Jesus, others, and yourself. And if you were just going to get in a personal battle with somebody else because they won an award or we won an award, that would be the exact opposite of what Coach Drew has put into this program, the exact opposite of our culture. So I don't think we care much about the individual stuff. We know they're very good. This is about our culture. Can we be the toughest team, and will we play with joy? If we do those two things, the awards don't matter. The award we want is the Big 12 Conference Tournament Championship. That's the award we want.
Is there a sense, John, around this team right now, especially with everything they've been through, and other teams have been through it as well, that there's just this focus because you mentioned the seniors, the leadership, the experience? Is there just a sense that this is business, and that's exactly what you're on as a business trip?
Yes. You stated it almost perfectly. I think the only thing that we would add to that is in the middle of this business trip, you've got this group of guys that have been together this last couple years and winning over 90% of their games. And as much as we want to win the national tournament and go to a Final Four and win a couple banners and, you know, be standing at the end, there is a friendship piece. And so every once in a while you just look around the room and you say, we've only got a couple more weeks left together. So, you know, 70 to 80% of this is a business trip, but 20% of this is we love each other. And this is an unbelievable group of kids, and the way they sacrifice and love each other and the laughs and the memories. We're so thankful to be stuck in this hotel together with people we love so much. So you're constantly trying to push those emotions away because they can overwhelm you, thinking about how much you love this team and the staff and these kids. But that's the only thing I would add to what you said, along with the fact that we know we're in the middle of one of the most important business trips that we could be on. There still is this emotional love that peeks its head in every once in a while, and that's what's so great about college sports. And I think Coach Drew does a wonderful job of embracing both. And the team that embraces both the best will love each other the most, and usually the team that loves each other the most is the one that wins in college sports.
And is there also, and wrap it up with this, John, that the fact you guys are playing games? I know that a year ago at this time, everything was dead. I mean, as far as basketball, it died for almost, several months. And we see what's going on right now with the ACC, with Duke and Virginia. Is that also what makes it even more special, to make sure you that so-called smell the roses as long as you can?
Yeah. If you think about it, Maceo Teague, Davion Mitchell, they transferred here. They've been here 3 years, and yesterday was their first Big 12 conference tournament game. And it's not because we didn't win enough games to go. Everybody's invited. All 10 teams are invited. It's just because last year, the day before, we were supposed to play K-State, and Coach Brooks and I were at the game scouting K-State and TCU. It was almost deja vu. You woke up and this was taken away from us. So to get through yesterday and to play a game and to handle all the emotions of it and to know that we're in the middle of something so special, I just think that there's an attitude of gratitude, and you've got to be thankful. And I know everybody's got an opinion on COVID. Everybody's got an opinion on what's going on in the world. And for us, it's not so much about having an opinion. It's just about watching our guys have so much fun, do the thing they love the most. And the fact that we're doing that 3 days in a row right now when we didn't get that chance last year is a gift from God. And I just don't think any of us want to waste it.
John, we appreciate you, man. Hope to have more of these as we continue. Thanks for your time. Good luck tonight against Oklahoma State.
Yeah, thank you again. We appreciate all you guys are doing for us.
John Jacobs, assistant basketball coach at Baylor on SicEm365 Radio. I've really and thoroughly enjoyed those segments we've had with Jerome Tang, with obviously John Jacobs, Alvin Brooks, DTA Mohatra, the coaches we've been able to have on this show throughout the season, and the possibility of how many more we may get with they play Oklahoma State tonight, and hopefully how many games they get with the rest of the tournament, maybe even one, of course, tomorrow night if they win to play Texas for the championship of the Big 12. All right, when we come back, Eric Villasenor, he's the head coach at CC Wynn High School in Eagle Pass. Dave Aranda on Wednesday had a virtual coaching clinic. I saw Eric put something up on Twitter, reached out to him, and his thoughts and words about Dave Aranda and his heritage and lineage, and also his genius in football as far as defensive football and what that meant to the Hispanic Coaches Association in the state of Texas. That's next on SicEm365 Radio. BettyClinicLowT.com. What do you feel like right now? As you get older, a lot of things change. Sometimes gravity takes over, but also sometimes things that are inside your body change. Your testosterone levels change. Your PSA levels can get higher, and that's something that's very dangerous, so you have to monitor that. Your cholesterol, usually if you had bad cholesterol when you were 25, you probably still do, unless you found a way to increase or get healthier. And that's just something that's hereditary at times, no matter what you do. But then there's testosterone level, and it does drop, because as you get older, your testosterone level, 1 out of every 3 men have symptoms of testosterone level issues. Symptoms that could be as simple as maybe your energy, as simple as maybe how you sleep or how well you sleep, and focus. And yes, there's also symptoms that could affect you in the bedroom, whether it becomes ED and or your sex drive. Nothing wrong with admitting that, if in fact that is the case, and PettyClinicLowT.com can help you out. Dr. Kent Petty does that. That's what he does. He'll get you set up with lab work. You have to call him. Or get online at PettyClinicLowT.com. Tell him Smokey sent you. Go online. He will set you up with blood work appointment. Get that done. Look at your results. And if your testosterone levels have dropped or are too low, based on your age and who you are, he'll get you in a program to increase your testosterone levels so you can become the high-performance man that you want and need to be. It's very simple. Go online, PettyClinicLowT.com, and let them do the rest at PettyClinicLowT.com.
From the first workout to the last practice, sports is an incredible and rewarding challenge. Hi, everyone. This is Dan Ingham with the First National Bank of Central Texas, and we're proud to support each athlete, every parent, and our educators. From families, small businesses, to the biggest industry, we're here to help. With remarkable products like mortgage lending, we've got banking ideas that fuel big dreams. The First National Bank of Central Texas. Familiar faces making local decisions.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs. Knowing you, that's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott, covering Conroe and Houston, 936-756-7717, or cam.heathcott@edwardjones.com. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
With more than 160,000 alumni worldwide and counting, the Baylor family is growing. And through the university's expanded Baylor alumni program, the family is growing closer. With hundreds of local volunteers planning events in cities and towns around the country, you can gather with fellow Bears no matter where you are. So, get connected, get something started, get involved, and make plans to get together with Baylor alumni. Visit us at baylor.edu/alumni.
At Marco's Pizza, get craveable pizza made the Italian way with dough made from scratch, an original sauce recipe, 3 fresh signature cheeses, and premium toppings you love, served hot and safe. Right now, you can get unlimited medium one-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each. Why stop at just one? Order with your app or at marcos.com for curbside, carryout, or delivery today. Marco's, pizza lovers get it.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physician of Baylor Athletics. Our doctors specialize in the diagnosis and treatment of any and all sports-related injuries. Celebrating over a decade of service in Central Texas, our doctors are equipped to handle a wide range of issues, whether it's your foot or ankle, orthopedic spine care, your hand or wrist, knee and shoulder pain, or if you're in need of our arthritis or total joint clinic. Come see us at the new Baylor Scott and White Ted and Sue Getterman Sports and Orthopedic Center. Trust the doctors at Baylor Trust, Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics. Our goal is to get you back in the game.
During the President's Day event, Allen Samuels has special pricing on a new 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited with values up to $3,250 or 0% for 72 months, plus $1,000 in combo cash. Or a 2021 Jeep Cherokee. The new Latitude Plus has up to $6,000 in total values or 0% interest for 72 months and $1,250 in combo cash. Allen Samuels award-winning customer service. The best place to find your next SUV. Located at 201 West Loop 340. Allen Samuels is your friend in the car business. See dealer for details. All offers have credit requirements.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio. It's the 22nd year anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
Villasenor from C.C. Wynn High School, just outside of Eagle Pass, with me, David Smoak on SicEm365 Radio. And I noticed that Eric had tweeted out just a couple of nights ago or so that thanking Dave Aranda for the virtual clinic, the coaching clinic for the Texas Hispanic Coaches Association, and Eric joins us. And I know you guys have had a lot of these, the Zoom, the virtual clinics, but obviously Dave Aranda and his heritage. Give me a little idea about when you guys reached out to him, his response as well.
Just want to say thanks for having me on today, and just have we just have our staff. When I say we, I mean the association and our staff here at Wynn High School in Eagle Pass have a ton of respect for Coach Aranda and what he's done. Actually, we went out to LSU in 2019 when he was a defensive coordinator out there, and just they rolled out the red carpet and treated us with respect and just gave us a ton of knowledge that we could bring back and use in our program. So we've been following Coach Aranda from his time at LSU, and we had the opportunity to obviously listen to his coach's journey, which he shared with us, and brought back some more nuggets for our program here at Wynn.
He is someone that I've been fortunate enough to interview more than just a handful of times, and he's a very, I think he would rather do anything but sometimes, do interviews or public speaking. Public speaking's fine. He's not like a look-at-me guy in any way, shape, or form. But, Eric, I've been told by many people that when he gets in front of a clinic, when he gets to talking about X's and O's in football and life, that it's like a completely different type, like this look on his face that is just pure joy.
And that's spot on, Dave. What you said about Coach Aranda is true. I think what really stands out, the times I heard him speak or the conversations that I've had with him, he's humble. He doesn't forget his journey and in climbing the ranks, and he's going to share his knowledge, which he certainly has a wealth of, and he's going to treat you with respect. And that's one thing that he pointed out in his lecture on Wednesday night. It's about relationships and treating people the right way.
When he does discuss X's and O's, is it something that it's like Picasso and someone who's like an artist when they start discussing or doing what they do?
Yes, sir. That is correct, David. He calls himself the mad scientist, and I've heard those, those labels in clinics, and that's certainly true. He's a master of his craft, and he's always looking for an edge and finding a way to get better.
What was if anything, was there much different than what you saw or what you saw him do at LSU a couple of years ago compared to what he can do on virtual?
I think what I saw, the difference is LSU, it was more of a deep dive into X's and O's. And what he shared with us on Wednesday was more of, his role now as a head coach and the things that come with being a head coach and being the leader of a Division I program and what he learned in his first year. And those are some valuable things that he shared to us, for that hour that he was on the Zoom call. I think, one of the things that I wrote down several things, but, some that stood out to me was having faith in the players, that there's greatness inside of them. That's something that really stood out that I wrote down and I shared with our staff the following morning. And just talking about, winning with love, that's also another key point that I wrote down that really stood out.
What about him? You mentioned his X's and O's, and he's got that mad scientist, and I've heard there are that mad genius when it comes to defense, and he's very well respected at every level of football around the country. What are some things that you notice about what he tries to do defensively that makes what he does very good?
I just feel, the way he teaches and his approach to things, he wants to make sure that he keeps it simple. It may look, kind of like I guess you could say, a type of scheme that's very complicated, so to speak, but, the way he approaches it, the way he teaches it and makes it simple for the players to execute, that's what really stands out. And, you want to have an identity to what you do and be really good at executing it. And I think that's something that's a key trait that Coach Aranda has.
When he's talking, whether it is in person or now where most things have to be virtual, what's the mood in the room?
We're locked in. I mean, I was, glancing at the other people on the Zoom call, or I've been in lectures that he's had, like I said, at LSU and in other places, and you just look around the room, everybody's locked in, and they're taking notes and writing down what he's saying because, whatever he says, it's true. He's been through it. He's won a national title. He's been in the spotlight. He's been in those big games, and what he's saying, it holds true and is valuable.
Other than the fact he kind of shared some things of what he learned as being a head coach compared to being an assistant and or coordinator, do you see any change at all?
No, I mean, I still see him. He's very humble and very approachable, and extended the invitation when allowed for us to go visit Baylor University and share, what they have to offer and that we can bring back to our program. Usually, there's head coaches that become a head coach and forget about those things, forget about, it's all about the title and so forth, but you don't see that in Coach Aranda at all.
We're talking to Eric Villasenor from CC Wynn High School Eagle Pass on SicEm365 Radio. I asked you what the mood in the room is and that everyone's focus locked in. What are some things that maybe others share with you after they hear him speak, or any feedback that you get?
I think that the common term that we heard was just the insight that was offered, through the lecture. It was, a couple of coaches stayed back after Coach Aranda logged off, and we just had some communication that, hey, this is something that stood out, or this, we shared what we wrote down. 1 hour wasn't enough, David. I'll tell you that. I wish we could have had him on for much longer, just to obviously pick his brain a little bit more. But hopefully we can get that here soon, and maybe in an in-person setting, hopefully.
Did he say much about his expectations this year with Baylor? Because as you know, and a lot of people dealt with this, not just college but high school, he shows up, new staff, only very few held over from Coach Rule's staff, no spring drills, the ups and downs of shutdowns, pauses, and maybe doing some. Did he say much about that challenge and how much difference a second year might be?
Certainly, he did mention that and how challenging it was coming into a first year, him being the head coach, and obviously going through the, the trials and tribulations of the pandemic. But I think something that he did mention in the Zoom call is, he's got to be himself. There were some things that worked that Coach Rule did, and some things that he wanted to bring in that he's seen work through his years, but they worked for Coach Rule. And the approach or, the mindset might have been a little bit different because that's how Coach Rule did it. But he wants to be himself, and I think that's one thing that also stood out. Hey, I'm David Anda. This is my thought process. Let's do it like this, and this is what's worked for me.
One more thing. That's kind of what we heard a little bit even at the end of the year when they made a couple of changes, and he's kind of shared that with us. Eric Villasenor with us, CC Wynn High School. You are part of the Texas Hispanic Coaches Association, and I've been covering high school football since 1981, and I know that I've had other coaches reach out to me for what you guys are trying to do. We know there's the Texas High School Coaches Association, which is massive. Thousands upon thousands. How much growth are you showing right now with the Hispanic Coaches Association in Texas, and how much more growth do you need?
I mean, I think it's a good platform. I'm an active member of the Texas High School Coaches Association. I have been for 20 years. And I think, being a part of the Texas Hispanic Coaches Association is just another platform for growth and just putting, facilitating growth based on the Hispanic coaches that are out there in the state of Texas. I coach on the border. I was raised on the border. I've coached Hispanic kids. It's a challenge, but there's challenges in everything that we do, David. But just to make sure we promote our association and our heritage the right way. That we can get it done, and we can be successful at any level.
Appreciate your time, Eric. Thanks for giving me some time on Dave Aranda and his virtual coaching clinic on Wednesday to the Texas Hispanic Coaches Association. Eric Villasenor from Wynn High School in Eagle Pass. This is SicEm365 Radio.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs, too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
Payments for qualified buyer were $4,000 down, 3.9% DTL, extra CD for details. The 22-year anniversary sales event is going on now at Richard Carr. Make your refund or stimulus even bigger when you add savings like a 2019 Buick Encore for only $169 a month, a 2018 GMC Train for only $208 a month, a 2018 GMC Sierra for only $374 a month. 100% credit approval is always our goal. Get here now and save during the anniversary sales event going on now at Richard Carr.
At Richard Carr, we give you more.
You want to know why Stonewood Dental is so successful? Listen to what happy customers have to say.
It's pleasant. It's different than any other dentist office. I really feel like they care. And it's not that you're here for 2 hours waiting on someone to take care of you. It's quick and easy, and I bring my kids, and my kids love being here too. They really love the treasure box. Staff is really nice and accommodating, real friendly. You feel more like home. It's not sterile looking. Everybody has their own personalized rooms with decorations and decor, and they'll even have a blanket for you when it's cold. I've recommended people to actually come here, and they are patients now. I really love it here. It feels like family.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
Learning to navigate life in the COVID-19 world has been a struggle, and where and how to get tested has been one of the biggest challenges. Impact Health Labs has your answer. If you need mass testing for your office, church, dormitory, or school, Impact Health Labs is who to call. They will come to you, conduct the testing at your location, and have the test back within 24 hours. Most major insurance accepted, meaning your out-of-pocket cost is low. So no more waiting by the phone for days to find out the results. Impact Health Labs was founded by 3 Army licensed and credentialed medical professionals. They believe in accuracy, efficiency, and doing the job right. Call 254-744-6233 to set up your group screening today. Impact Health Labs, on-site, prompt, and accurate, taking COVID-19 head-on. Again, that number is 254-744-6233 or online at impacthealthlabs.com.
Welcome back to SicEm365 Radio.
Have you downloaded the SicEm365 Radio app? Do it today on the App Store and Google Play.
Well, Baylor men's basketball has tipped off against Oklahoma State in Kansas City. The winner will get Texas tomorrow evening. So here are a couple of notes in Major League Baseball. You guys tell me which one of these are bad ideas. Let me get through some of them. Rules changes announced by the league in anticipation of a minor league season. Remember, they did not have one last year that begins this year in May. Studying potential adoptions of rules in the major leagues. Theo Epstein has become the consultant for this, improving on-field product. All right?
Good.
Each level of the newly constructed minor leagues, which came under control of Major League Baseball, will go down from 162 teams to 120. The most radical will be in AA, where normally that's where your best prospects are. 4 infielders will be mandated to have both feet on the infield dirt, preventing the extreme shifts that often see players from the left side of the infield shift to the short right field. Depending on the results, the league said the second half of the season could see more extreme versions of the rule, 2 infielders on each side of the second base bag. But at least initially, they at least have to be with their feet somehow on the dirt.
Okay, I'm for that.
They can still have all 4 guys on right side of second base. You're okay.
Yeah, because here's the thing. Part of the thing that's weird about the shift is that, you know, you've got the third baseman sometimes is standing right behind the second baseman in right field.
Yeah. Where it's almost like you just can't get through it. Craig played the game, of course, as well. And Craig, your thoughts about the shifts and all that stuff. What do you think about at least looking at that as a possible change in baseball?
Well, I mean, I think it's pathetic that guys like Joey Gallo can't beat the shift. I mean, I think that's the number one thing I think of is, yeah, the shift is ridiculous and it can look ridiculous at times. And I'm just not a fan when I tune in and I see 4 guys to the right of second base. You know, when a Joey Gallo type is up to the plate or someone like that. I hate that, but I also know it's part of the strategy. And if you're so poor at being able to direct where the ball's going, or you're so poor as a hitter that you can't beat an entirely wide open left side of the field, then I think that's on you as a player. But I don't know. I just feel like in general with Major League Baseball, like they're just trying to search for something. Like they're just so in need of like a spark or something, and they're trying to figure out what that could possibly be. But I don't foresee this like having any massive effect on the way the game's played or people's enjoyment of it or anything along those lines. So I don't know. We'll see. I haven't been a big fan of all the kind of little changes they've been making, but I mean, I'll be open-minded to it. I just don't know how much of a huge impact it ends up having. But again, my main thing is if you can't beat the shift, then that's on you as a player.
I agree with you, Craig. I do. I mean, like I'm fine if they're going to change the rule a little bit to maybe make it less effective. But yeah, it's right. Look, Joey Gallo should learn how to hit the other way. I mean, just do it.
Yeah. I mean, he's had all these months.
But when you're worried about launch angles and all that's all you hear now, you know, is just all about power and speed. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that, you know, Joey Gallo's had many years now to improve. as a hitter, and he has in some ways. But, I mean, the fact that, you can have, like I said, a completely wide open side of the field, and he still can't muster being able to beat that on a regular basis to the point of eliminating it. Like, that's the thing is the shift sucks if you're the guy going up against it, but guess what? You figure it out and you beat it, and they can't do it anymore. Like, they're not going to do the shift on you anymore because you've proven that it's ineffective. He hasn't been able to prove that. So,
you know what it reminds me of, guys? It reminds me of somebody who will not shoot free throws underhanded if it even makes their percentage better.
Yeah, it's like Shaq went 20-plus years just like, oh, well, I don't need to do that. I'm Shaq. And, Shaq could get away with that in some cases, in most cases. There were times when it did cost him and his team, but, for the most part, he was so effective outside of that, he could still be a star player. But, I mean, Joey Gallo's basically feast or famine. He's not a star player in my mind. He could be, but he's not. To me, he's too one-dimensional. But, yeah, if you're bad at something, I mean, you got the entire offseason. You've had multiple off seasons to get better and improve at that. And yet what's going to happen is they're going to trot out there Joey Gallo, and I'm not trying to just focus in on him, but Joey Gallo will come up to the plate, and guess what? The shift will be on because he hasn't proven that he can beat it. So, I'm cool with the tweaks. I'm fine with it, but I do think Major League Baseball just has no idea what to do about their lack of growth and their lack of popularity in comparison to, obviously the National Football League and I guess in some cases the NBA. And I think they're searching for something and hoping that they hit on something that sparks, excitement. But we've gone on a long time now when that excitement was last there for baseball, and unfortunately it came as a result of guys breaking rules or rules that had to be formed to address those issues.
A couple other notes. We have just a couple of minutes. 13-12 Oklahoma State. Cade Cunningham has 5. Bad news for Baylor. Jared Butler on the bench with over 14 minutes left. Had to go to the bench with his second foul after Likely stole the ball from him and then Butler fouled him. So that's going on right now. And we'll, of course, keep you up to date as right before we sign off. In Low A Southeast League, the automated ball strike system in select games with hopes of determining the optimal strike zone for the system. They used it in the Arizona Fall League in 2019. Will undergo a change. Instead of using a three-dimensional zone that covers the entire plate, it will call balls and strikes based on a two-dimensional plane at the front of the plate.
Well, whatever works. I mean, if you're going to use robot umpires to speed things up,
then do it. Well, if you're going to do it, then yeah.
We'll find out what works. I mean, I'm all about
how much money is that going to cost? They have all the money. I know they have it, but
I think it'll be better off in the long run. I don't think they're worried about that. I think that I think if you're going to use the robo umps and all that, like you just need to make sure that it's right before you implement it.
Quickly, Low A League. Pitchers can attempt to pick off or step off the rubber only twice per at-bat. A third time and have failed to pick off a runner, a balk will be called and the runners advance.
Say that one again.
So they're trying to keep you from throwing over to first base 6 times, 7 times, 10 times.
I mean, that's part of it to me.
It is part of it.
I think that's like part of the flirtation of a base runner, a catcher.
Don't let him on
pitcher.
base, yeah.
Is the dance of keeping him close to the bag, and then the dance of the base runner, getting a little extra inch and seeing how many inches he can get. And, that's part of the dance to me. So I do understand there are times when a guy just keeps throwing over and he's not even playing the game so much as he's just like buying time. But that happens so rarely that I don't see that as like my list of reasons for why baseball games last too long in the minds of people. It's not because the pitcher's throwing over to first base trying to keep a guy close to the bag. As far as the robo ump goes, I used to be totally against that and eliminating the human element. But the fact that there are guys who just aren't very good at their jobs, if you could just get it absolutely correct every time that is a ball for sure or that is a strike for sure, I'm actually more open-minded to that. I'm actually okay with that. It's weird to eliminate that human side of it, but
Angel Hernandez has had a job for 30 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's the name I thought of, and if you can get trash like him out of baseball, then I'm all for it.
I'll say this though: baseball used until they were unionized, until they broke them. They broke them. because umpires really had a lot of power. They at least now have what is somewhat of a normal strike zone across the board. There are still some that no matter what. And Angel Hernandez just wakes up. He's an evil person. He's a bad person. The final one, and then, Paul, your deal. Yeah. Bases will be 3 inches longer on each side. This is in the AAA level. Front edge of first base will be 88 feet 9 inches. It will move to 88 feet 6 inches between first and second. Second and third, same decrease. The result, baseball says, a modest impact on the success rate of stolen attempts and the frequency in which a batter runner reaches base on ground balls and bunt attempts.
So they're trying to get more people on base.
Baseball hopes larger bases will allow for fewer injuries on collisions at the bag. To me, there's even more of a bang-bang play.
Well, I guess if you're trying to, like, if you have more space to step, then maybe you're not going to step on somebody. Yeah.
I understand that every league has had their fair share of rules changes, and, guys in the NBA have different statistics than they maybe did back in the day in some cases. But is there anybody whose record books are going to be more unrecognizable, like the way the game was played, old school baseball, and whatever they're trying to do nowadays with like robo-umps and the base pass and the throwing over? Like, it's going to be, Paul, you see what I'm saying? Like, yeah. As far as the difference in the games from the olden days to the present day, I feel like baseball is going to have the biggest difference from the game itself and the way that it was.
I agree with you. Yeah,
Well, football, the passing stats have been destroyed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
But like so much of baseball now is just like, what can we do for the batter? What can we do for the and I know that football did that with offenses as well. So yeah, it's similar in that way. But yeah, I don't know. I'll go back to, I just think baseball's trying to find the magic bullet.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Now, Paul, close out the week. Usually it's something a little bit more relaxed. Paul, by the way, Baylor up 1 timeout inside the 12-minute media mark. Okay?
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55.
All right, last week was Top 5 baseball movies. I was told that it's basketball season, so I should do Top 5 basketball movies. And Smokey, I actually think, I'm going to guess that you might have seen 3 of these, possibly. Maybe more.
Okay. All right. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. So it would be a high. This first one I know that maybe only Craig and I have seen in this room. Number 5, Teen Wolf, starring Michael J. Fox. Not only is it a werewolf movie, it's a werewolf who plays basketball and uses his werewolf powers to get beer at a liquor store and also surf on a van.
Did anyone want to guard him?
Well, he did. By the end of the
tried.
Yeah, they tried. I mean, he was a friendly werewolf. By the latter part of the movie, he alienates his team because they just sit there and there's a fat guy who just eats a sandwich during the game while he's playing because he doesn't need anybody else.
Okay.
It is an 80s movie. That is an 80s comedy movie. That is for sure. And, probably one of like the movies I watched the most growing up, actually. It was like that and Willow and a couple of others, but it was like the videos that my grandma had. But yeah, I watched Teen Wolf probably 100 times. I love that movie.
It's really funny. It's really funny.
Yeah.
All right, number 4, White Men Can't Jump.
It's a good one.
It is a fantastic movie. Rosie Perez is great.
Wasn't there actually a series, a television series?
I don't know.
That was The White Shadow. That was The White Shadow.
Yeah, but White Men Can't Jump. Wesley Snipes, Woody Harrelson. If you haven't seen it, see it. It's great. Number 3, another one I think you've probably seen, Coach Carter.
That's a really good movie.
Yeah.
We had him on the show.
Yeah, Coach Carter.
He spoke at an Academic All-Stars banquet, did he not?
And Coach Ken Carter when we were doing King's podcast, he told me the story of like getting the script written. So they get the script written, and he goes to sell the studio. This is how forceful a guy he is. Never made a movie before, not in the movie business. Pretty much tells him, Sam Jackson's in this movie or I'm not selling it to you.
That was a great decision.
Yeah. All right, number 2. He Got Game.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't know if I saw this
Jesus Shuttlesworth, played by Ray Allen, and Jesus Shuttlesworth's father. You don't know if you've seen. This is the one I thought you would have seen.
Is that Dre or something? Like, what's that guy's name on the left?
On the left, that's Denzel Washington.
What?
Yes.
He looks short.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he's standing next to Ray Allen. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ray Allen.
Yeah, I liked He Got Game a lot. Rosario Dawson's in there as well. La.
Mm-hmm.
I like that movie a lot, and is definitely like the darker take on, basketball recruiting, and it's like everything that you think basketball recruiting is like. That's what it is. It's like the seedy side of the basketball blue chip.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Denzel Washington not very likable in this movie.
What? No, Ray Allen's actually pretty good, but yeah, Denzel more of a bad guy, I guess, in a way, but yeah, not as likable.
Kind of like the one when he's a police officer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of like that. And number one, and if I picked any other movie.
Training Days, right?
No, yeah. Number one is Hoosiers.
Yeah.
Gene Hackman.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a great movie. I like. Is it my number one favorite basketball movie? It's actually not. I would actually pick He Got Game, but it is the number one basketball movie because it is the basketball movie. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's a good one. You can watch that at any time, 10 years from now, tomorrow. It's a good one.
Another basketball movie that I liked that I'm sure basketball fans have probably seen, but one that's from a while ago that I enjoyed was Sunset Park. That was a good little basketball flick, but definitely seen all the ones that Paul mentioned and liked all of them. Blue Chips was a kind of a cornier basketball movie with Shaq and Penny and all those guys, but Sunset Park is a good, not as well known basketball movie that I really enjoyed back in the day.
Yeah. So.
All right, Paul. Very nice. I've seen 3 of those, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen 3 of them. All right, for all of our guests today, we appreciate John Jacobs, Grayson Grudhafer, Jason King, Katie Stager-Smith, Eric Villasenor. Thanks to Kevin Harlan. Also thanks to Alyssa Smith. Thanks to Kyle Robarts. Baylor down 1 right now to Oklahoma State with under 8 minutes left, and they're not getting any rebounds, which, again, that don't stop the presses with that. Paul, Catalina, Armstrong, great to see you again. Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak. Have a great weekend. This is SicEm365 Radio.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Tom Albers, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If your financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Tom Albers, 4301 Lakeshore Drive, 254-776-7605. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Did you know that 1 out of every 4 men have symptomatic low levels of testosterone and don't even know it? And if you think you're too young to worry about it, guess again. Low T levels can make you feel tired and grumpy, cause weight gain, and wreak havoc on your sexual desire and performance. Petty Clinic Low T can set up same-day blood screening and results, so if you're tired of being tired, I challenge you to man up and Google search Low T Waco or go online pettycliniclowt.com. It's a private clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Affordable, only $150 a month, includes lab work, office consultation, testosterone injections, follow-up visits compared to $395 a month in Dallas or Austin, and you don't have to fight the traffic. Petty Clinic Low T is board-certified physician consultations, will provide the best form of brand-strength testosterone available. Contact Petty Clinic Low T today, just off Highway 84 and Old Hewitt Drive in Woodway. Petty Clinic Low T, helping men become the high-performance men they deserve to be. PettyClinicLowT.com or Google search Low T Waco.